at 6 o'clock. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I would like to call the City Council meeting and regular meeting at the Redevelopment Successor Agency hosted here at Clearlake City Hall, located at 14050 Olympic Drive in Clearlake, California, 95422. Today is Thursday, July 27th, 2017. It is 6 p.m. And Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Councilmember Overton.
Here.
Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Councilmember Bennett.
Here.
Vice Mayor Sabatier.
Here.
And Mayor Purdock.
Here. If you would, please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. If you could just remain standing. Pastor Savin is here to offer our invocation tonight. Thank you, sir, for coming.
Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you tonight, God, that you have brought us together and that you have given us this opportunity to meet together as a community, as leaders. And Lord, pray, Lord, that you would give us wisdom as we decide and consider the different things that we need to do here in our city of Clearlake. And we just thank you, Lord, for just keeping the fires away and keeping us safe in this time. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Moving on to the adoption of the agenda. Mr. Colson, are there any changes to our agenda tonight?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we'll be taking item number 7 off the agenda.
All right. Very well. We'll have a motion to accept the agenda without item 7.
So moved.
A motion and a second by Councilmember Bennett. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion passes unanimously. We didn't have a closed session, but we didn't have a ad-hoc, so we have nothing to announce from closed session. We do have a presentation for this evening. I would like to invite members from the Highlands Senior Center to step up. You're welcome to give your annual report at this time. And we do have the materials you provided us.
Thank you, Russ.
Very well.
My name is Shirley Kelsey, K-E-L-S-E-Y. I'm past president and currently vice president of the Highlands Senior Center. I've been there almost 10 years as a volunteer. You have the packet that was presented to the council on our profit and loss statement and the meal costs versus donations for the past year and the list of last year's fundraising. Okay, donations for the meals last year. The Congregate Hall received approximately $1.37 per meal. Meals on Wheels average was 0.73 cents. Our cost per meal, congregate meals cost $4.63, leaving us short $3.26 per meal. Meals on Wheels cost $5.34 per meal, leaving us short $4.61 per meal. To operate the Senior Center programs, total cost per meal is $9.61. Total meals served last year were 29,206 meals. That's a lot of food. Total cost to run the Senior Center per meals is $280,669.60 per year, and it's raising. As you can see, the donations do not meet the expenses of the Senior Center. We receive grants from the Area on Aging and the Redbud Healthcare District. Even with the grants we receive, we still fall short of what is needed to run the facility. Without our volunteers and the community support, we would be unable to keep up with the services the center offers. The cost of living to our seniors has risen. I can attest to that. With mandated costs, which in turn raises the cost of food, housing, and unfortunately, our senior Social Security and pensions have not risen to keep up with the cost of living, leaving them short for basic things like food, clothing, and housing. Because the cost of living is rising, so have the statistics in depression, poor health, isolation, and suicides in our seniors. Our health ranking in Lake County is the fourth in the state of California. Our goal is to help change those statistics by creating activities and providing healthy food for our seniors. To help us do this, we are here to ask consensus from the council to create an outdoor space at the community center. That not only will provide activities for our seniors, but for the community. We have 5 apartments within 3 blocks of the community center and an assisted living facility. This park would provide a safe place in the area. We would like to start working on creating an area for an outdoor exercise equipment with at least 5 to 6 different pieces of equipment. We will be looking to our civic clubs and other organizations to donate at least 1 piece of equipment. Along with this, we would like to install the sprinkler system, create a walking path, a volleyball court, a horseshoe pit, and cover the patio that exists there now. Of course, this will all take time. We don't expect to do it overnight. But we do want to move forward with the council's permission. This is something the council would consent so we can start creating a plan. We all think on the board that it was a great plan. So many of our seniors are in the house constantly. They don't get out and do much. Our annual fundraiser will be Saturday, September 29th at the community center. This is our biggest fundraiser of the year. We have tickets for sale. I've got some in my wallet for $35, and it will be created by our Chatterbox Catering that helps bring in an extra funding to the center. We'd also like to thank Councilmember Harris and Dan Griffin for being sponsors this year by purchasing a table to our event. And we'd like to extend a special thank you to the Lions for sponsoring the bar as they have every year. This is the largest of our fundraisers, and we need the help this year even more than ever. We are asking the community to join us for this worthy cause. It is not all about food. It is about keeping our senior community active. If you're not active, then you're not healthy. So remember, active is a healthy senior. I would also like to thank the board members that showed up tonight from the Highland Senior Center. Would you stand, please? This is Shauna Gottschalk and Dora Wooster. Thank you, ladies, for coming.
Shirley, show me your shirt.
Oh. This is a shirt that we are also, as one of our fundraisers, that we're also selling at the Senior Center. They're $20 per t-shirt. SOS, Save Our Seniors. And then it has the Helping Hands and the Highland Senior Center on it. So if you're interested, come down to the center and we'll sell you one. We have some in blue and some in white.
Very good.
Any questions?
Mr. Harris?
I just want to confirm that the date of the fundraiser is September 9th,
Yes.
and it's at the community center. And if somebody wants to purchase tickets for that, they go to the community center to
They
do
can Go
so?
to the community center or see any of the board members.
Perfect, thank you, dear.
Yeah. And the doors open at 5 o'clock. Food will be served at 6.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you.
And can I add?
Please.
Just in case anybody wants to know the concept of the park idea, there is a draft over here of just the concept of what that might look like. That doesn't necessarily mean that's exactly what it's going to be if we go through with it, but that's kind of the concept of what some of them have put together.
Thank you very much.
And excuse me, we will be talking a little bit more about that on agenda item number 12.
Any other questions, comments? Very well. I'll move on to our next item on our agenda, which is public comment. Public comment is a time when any person wishing to address the council on an item not on our agenda for tonight is welcome to do so. You have 3 minutes to speak on that subject matter. Please introduce yourself and step forward. So our first gentleman up is Mr. Bill Shields. Bill?
How you doing? Good evening.
Good evening.
Good to see you people. Now, I think I found out what's going on with Clearlake Cemetery. There's not enough people dying to support the cemetery. Now, what some of them are doing is looking for a cheaper way to die. Cremation. Now, cremation will not solve the problem of the Clearlake Cemetery. Now, hopefully, those poor souls over there that gave their life for you people to live in a free country, maybe you can come up with a solution. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Could you turn the mic on? It's
not working.
Mr. Shield, just wanted to let you know that Saturday morning on August 5th, there will be a group, I believe, from Rotary and other volunteers who will be going to the cemetery to help get some of the weeds down and make that cemetery look the way it should look. So if you could pass the word and any other volunteers that want to join in that day, that would be great.
And the Lions Club.
And the Lions Club, thank you.
Next, we have a request from Mike Hahn. Wants to talk about dogs and people, noise after certain hours.
Hello, everybody.
Good evening.
My first city council, I just moved here from Sonoma County, and yeah, I'm having dog noises. And my ideas are maybe making an ordinance with defined times. Maybe you already have it. Like no dog barking or noise caused by people between definite hours. For example, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. No noise, no exception, unless a criminal activity is happening. The police are called. Have a definite procedure when you want to make a complaint. To have something to follow. Like in my case, I had nothing to go by. I had to just go through the ropes of finding a way to do it. You have a new animal control officer who has new, and I understand that. So, but to me, what I would suggest, example, talk to the offender, the owners, would be number 1. Define your evidence as audio, phone, video, witnesses. Number 3 would submit report to police department, animal control. Number 4, start log events, submit any more evidence. And the police department should give an update as soon as possible. Another idea, this is on dog adoption, another subject. Animals, dogs that are adopted, people should be required to sign an acknowledgement of barking ordinance before adopting. Maybe you guys already have that, I don't know. My next idea is some form of fine system, steps Maybe number one, warning the dog owners to stop the noise with no fine. The second would be give a citation with fines, make the fine large to cover animal control time and the police department, including the first steps time. Number three, take the dogs, have fine to pay for the dog's accommodation and police department animal control time. And no, it's not the dog's fault, it's the owner's fault. Make the system streamlined and pay for itself. Maybe these things are already in the system, I don't know. I'm just trying to get my system done. I've already talked with Joyce on the email, I don't know if she remembers or not. And I have some stuff to submit. I don't know if you can take submissions here, but I would like to submit this stuff that I've already submitted, part of it to animal control, but I would like to submit to the council.
Thank you. If you just get to Mr. Folsom right here.
And that's it for me. Thank you for your.
Thank you for coming tonight. Well, those were the formal requests for time and public comment. If there's anyone else that didn't get a chance to get one submitted, this is your time to step forward if you'd like to address council again on a non-agendized item.
Being I have to work with Joyce, I forgot to tell you something. Save this date, Saturday, August 19, 2017, at the Senior Center, 3245 Bowers Avenue. It's a work day at the community center. And Dennis Health is going to be there, and everybody that's interested. We can do anything. We can pull weeds, we're going to paint, we're going to do a lot of things. We want to make our senior center desirable. So if you can, show up. Thank you.
Thank you for that announcement. Anyone else wishing to address council at this time? Seeing none, I will close public comment and move to our consent agenda. Mr. Folsom, any changes to the consent agenda tonight?
No, Mr. Mayor, no changes to the consent agenda.
Council members wishing to pull an item on our consent agenda for discussion? Seeing none, any member of the public wishing to discuss an item that exists on our consent agenda? This is your time to request that. Seeing none, I'll bring it back for action.
I'd like to make the motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second by Councilmember Harris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries unanimously. Now moving on to our public hearing for tonight. And item 6. Item 6 for this public hearing will be to confirm assessments in a total amount of $47,500 for administrative penalties for failure to abate public nuisance in accordance with the Clearlake Municipal Code sections 1-5, 1-9, 10-1.6, 10-1.7, 10-1.9, 10-1.12, 10-2.2, B, 10-2.4, 10-2.5, 10-2.6, 10-2.7, 10-2.8, and 10-1.3, 10-3.3, 10-5, and 10-5.6. Mr. Folsom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to introduce our code enforcement officers, Tina Gramontes and Steve Pelton.
If I could just pause the meeting for a second so we can have some mic repair.
I have to turn it on.
Okay, so we're going to turn them off, we're turning them back on.
I wasn't sure if I was getting
Sure. Madam Clerk?
Test.
Pretty spectacular, isn't it? Good job. All right, moving on. Back to item 6.
The purpose of this hearing is to consider and act upon any and all protests of proposed assessments for recovery of all costs and administrative penalties for failure to abate public nuisances. Upon consideration of the evidence and testimony, council may grant in protest and revise the resolution to remove the assessments or deny the protest and confirmation of assessments as proposed, or modify, reduce the amount of assessments and revise the resolution to reflect the modified assessments. Property owners were given notice of the violations and adequate time to voluntarily correct the violations. Property owners failed to abate the nuisance and said property on said property within the prescribed time. Property owners were given notice of their right to appeal the imposition of administrative penalties. The property owners failed to submit in writing a notice of appeal of administrative penalties within the prescribed time allowed. Attached to the staff report is the proposed resolution confirming assessments, statement of expenses for the proposed assessments, and supporting evidence. Staff recommends that council confirm all assessments as proposed. Should the council or the property owners wish to address me or the other officers as the citing officers, I am able and willing to respond to questions. Property number 1 is 3619 Sycamore Street. The owner is J.L. Tillman, and the administrative penalty assessment is $5,000. This property had numerous CMC violations on it, and I was the citing officer. The original pictures were captured on 2/21/17.
Describe the violation.
The violations are the inoperable boats and other vehicles that you'll see in the other pictures. There's garbage in front of the home and on the side of the home. There's another angle for shopping carts. That's the side yard and the back. The current pictures we're taking on 7/26/17. And this is the current of the front of the home. The vehicles and the boats were towed away.
Were they towed away under ADA or something?
They were towed away under ADA.
Okay. Anything additional on this property?
No, I have no contact with the person.
Okay. And the name on the property owner is Tillman, is that correct? Is Mr. Tillman or a representative for the Tillman family present who would like to give testimony and evidence? Very well, seeing none, I'd like to open it up for any public comment on this particular item. This is your time during this public hearing. Thank you, sir, for your input. If you wouldn't mind identifying yourself.
Sure. Chuck Leonard, City of Clearlake. I just hope that the council doesn't start backing up on these things again. We got some code enforcement officers that seem to do a good job and work hard, and letting them down by letting people slide on this stuff is no good. So I hope everybody will stand up and stand for the community.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wishing to comment on this item? Offer testimony? This is your time. Seeing none, I will bring it back for a motion to close. Public comment?
Motion to close public comment or public hearing.
I have a motion and a second by Mr. Bennett. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Deliberation? No questions?
I have a question. So I know that the vehicles were taken previous to the assessment coming to us through the AVA. Is that being submitted as a separate bill, fine for the
Expense
vehicles
recovery?
Yes.
themselves? Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Councilman Bennett.
Is the resident occupied?
I believe it is tenant occupied.
Okay. And we have heard nothing from the owner of the place?
No.
Okay. So the vehicles that were removed removed under AVA, not in compliance with the notification?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So we sent out the certified mail. What was the result of that? Did they get the notice and sign it?
No signature. It said unable to deliver an attorney center.
Councilmember Bennett.
Was there notification posted on the property?
Oh, yes.
And did that remain there, or was it taken down?
It was taken down.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any further deliberation, or do we have an action on item 1? Property 1. Or do we want to do it all at once?
The way
Mr.
it's
Jones?
drafted is you have one resolution with an exhibit that lists them all, so maybe if you want to, you can take consensus of your council between each one, and then at the end, if there's
Thank
any
you.
modifications, you can make a motion to it.
Right, do we have consensus on this item?
Yes.
Go ahead.
The
So go ahead and,
my consensus is to go ahead with the assessment.
very good. All right.
Approve of the...
Approve of the action. All right, item property 2.
Property 2 is 15237 Taft Drive. The owner is Lee Edward Golson, and the administrative assessment penalty is $2,500. In violation of various CMCs, and I was the citing officer. The original pictures were taken on 8/18/2015. At this time, they have a pool out front and a bunch of other stuff out front. This is their driveway. The current pictures were taken on 7/26/2017. Minus the pool, everything else is the same.
Very well, thank you. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Just wanted to make sure when I drove by that I was at the right place. Is that the one with the 2 large RVs that are parked in front?
When I drove by, there were no RVs out front.
Okay. That means they're moving, that's good.
Councilmember Harris.
Judging from the pictures there, it appears that there's possibly the pool there on the right side, or is that what I'm seeing?
You know, I can't tell if that's the pool or just the liner, but that is definitely the ladder.
Okay, that would also be non-fenced if that is the pool, so another issue.
And if I may, on the other side of the property, there's that exact same type of ladder/pool situation. So I don't know if they're just collecting pool ladders, but I don't think there would be 2 pools there.
Okay. Any other question for staff? Councilmember Bennett.
Again, is that property occupied?
I don't know. I don't know. The notices that I
Notices were
post,
posted.
the notices that I post disappear, but I don't know.
And the same question also as far as notification, as far as mail?
Yeah. There's no signature and no yellow label saying return to sender.
Thank you. I'd like to open this up for the public to comment, offer testimony at this time. Anyone wishing to speak or address council, please step forward.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
just to be
Mr.
clear, the last one you opened up a public hearing, you closed it. I think now that you've done that, I would open up a public hearing for each of these and close the public hearing.
That's what I was intending.
As we send out these letters and don't receive any response, are we evaluating whether there is access to the owner? Is the owner dead? Are they back on back taxes? Is that being evaluated as well? Because one of the things I noticed last year is we find, and we were finding dead people. And it really didn't get us anywhere. So I want to make sure we're making that next step to know that we don't have to keep finding them and trying to find them. If they are in arrears, and we can sell or encourage the property to be sold at the county level. So I just want to add that as part of our process in the future, please.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to offer testimony? All right, then I'd like to bring it back and close the public testimony. I have a
So
motion.
moved.
I have a second by Councilman Overton. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously. Further deliberation or questions? Vice Mayor?
I was just wondering if there was some history on that property based on the words from Cheryl.
I don't have any history on it.
Okay, so this would be the first time that we're finding that property.
I believe so, but I'd have to double check on that.
Mr. Bennett?
The first, if I got my dates right, 2015. So there has been some movement in there as far as taking down or moving that pool.
Right. But I haven't personally heard from an owner, a tenant,
Yeah.
cousin, anything.
So somebody has knowledge that there's something
Wrong.
amiss on that property.
Right. Yeah, at least back in 2015, somebody did do something. They did remove the pool.
Thank you. We have consensus on this property?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Next.
Property number 3 is 3539 Sycamore Street. The owner is Richard Brandon, and the assessment penalty is $5,000. This one, he was also in violation of several CMC codes, and I was the citing officer. The original pictures were taken 8/18/2015. This is the front of the home where an inoperable truck full of garbage, and then the dilapidated house. Just another view. Current pictures were taken on 7/26/2017. This one, the truck and the garbage is predominantly gone, but he had replaced the siding without permits. So that is still pending, and then there's a trailer and some other thing on their front.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
I was just wondering, because I could tell that it looked like either an old grow or a new grow. Is that a current grow at that property, or?
To my knowledge, it's not currently growing, but there is the illegal fence, the illegal siding, and we had gone in, we had communication with this gentleman for a while, and that's why the case was so long going. Both Lee Lambert and I had gone in and we had spoken with him, but then now he just kind of lost communication with us.
Thank you. Ms. Overton?
Okay, so from these pictures, basically, he's cleaned up all the garbage.
The majority of it, yes.
Okay, so I guess I'm curious, okay, he may have violated a couple of violations here with citing that needs to be corrected, but what are we charging the $5,000 for? I mean, that's a lot of money for something that looks like they have cleaned up. Just curious why it's so high. To me, permit thing sounds like a stop order fine type thing than a code enforcement $5,000 fine.
The accumulation of junk, garbage, and debris, which is CMC 10-1.6J.
Okay, where is that at in this picture? I mean, is not there, so he's moved that.
Well. And then X, which would be the violation of the permits.
Well, and I can see the violation of the permits, but I don't think it's $5,000 worth. So far, I don't see.
Is there another picture that's current as this one is?
No, these are the only ones that I have right now.
I mean, I've seen this place, I mean, I do see that there's some violations as far as permit violations. Maybe there's permit violations, but it didn't have all that garbage and everything around it, so. So we saw the garbage off. I see a trailer there, but I mean, is that a licensed trailer? I still don't see that would be a $5,000 penalty here. I just don't see where the $5,000 penalty is.
Okay. Mr. Bennett?
When you did have contact with him at one time,
Pardon me, I'm sorry.
you did have contact with him at one time?
Yes, we did, and there is multiple histories on this property as well.
I'm sorry, what?
There's multiple, he's a repeat offender. Lee Lambert's had multiple dealings with this property as before me coming on too, so he's done this before.
Okay, and that trailer, that's an illegal trailer made?
It's because it was being occupied,
Can it be occupied?
not on in an area zoned for residential use.
Yeah.
You're talking about the fifth wheel trailer?
The fifth wheel trailer, yes.
So it was occupied, it's not, is it currently occupied?
When I went by and drove by and took these current pictures, I did not see somebody in there at this time, but I have seen people in there and there were cords.
So they're well aware of
Yeah.
violations based upon
In
previous.
my opinion, yes, because I know that Lee Lambert and I have spoken with the owner many times regarding his violations and what he needs to do.
How long, when was the last contact you had with him?
May of last year. The last contact we had was probably right around May of last year when there was a CPS involvement as well.
Mr. Harris?
CPS Child's
Protective Services.
Yes.
So just want to confirm what I'm seeing. I mean, even though we do see that there's been, seems to be some progress in the cleanup and some of the siting situation, what I'm looking at, unless I'm mistaken, is not actually a home or structure. It's sort of a constructed wall sort of a thing. It's like almost like a fence, but it looks from here, from this angle, as some, like the end of a house, but it's not. From what I gather, it's actually sort of a fence or something that looks like a wall.
It's hard to explain. The house is an old trailer that is falling apart.
Okay.
And then he went and put siding on it, and I can't, without permission, I can't enter his property to see the extent of it, but to my knowledge, he hasn't pulled permits, he hasn't done the electrical, he hasn't done any of the things that when we have been granted access to it, he hasn't done any of the things that he was supposed to do.
Okay, and just to confirm too, in the yard, there's still garbage and debris about?
Not nearly as much as it used to, I
Okay.
admit that. But
So it's a reduction, but it's still present?
It's still present. And then the fence, he built the fence without the proper permits and adhering to the guidelines, which I did not add that to the invoice.
So while there has been some cleanup effort made, there's been some other violations that have compiled on top of the old violations in the interim?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
I just want to say, when I looked at that property, I was very confused by that wall frontage thing, but I could see the trailer behind it, and it looks pretty mangled, and I have a picture here on my phone. You can see the gutter and the roof kind of falling down, and so that's when I looked at what was proposed here, that seemed the obvious as to why they were living inside the RV rather than in the home, because the home did not look like it was habitable. And so I see more problems than just what we see on the pictures here, because looking from the side, looking at the grow that they had the year before, seeing that the fence is still there, that worries me about future grows if that stays there. So
We were there last year, and I didn't see a grow last year. Whether it was the year before, I don't know, but We were there in May of last year roughly, and there was no grow in the backyard.
And I could be mistaken, it just unfortunately looks like a typical grow fence within a fence.
It does.
Thank you. Is the property owner or representative of the property here that can offer us testimony or evidence? Seeing none, I'll open up for public comment in this public hearing. Anyone wishing to give testimony on this property, please step forward. Seeing none, I'll bring it back. Council, any additional questions?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Any further action or questions? Ms. Overton?
Okay, so I understand that there's some violations here, that's not a problem. So is this accumulations because he didn't do things over the years? Because it looks like it's a two-year process here, and these are just fines that I'm just looking at the amount or so we know that there's stuff here. Is that what this is, an accumulation of each one of the things he hasn't taken care of?
Yes, I could have cited for more, but realistically, is the property worth more?
And we have, the person that you've been dealing with is the property owner?
He was the property owner.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You have consensus?
Yes.
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 Very well. Moving on to the next one.
Property number 4, I believe we're taking off because he has rectified what we had asked him to do.
It's in progress of.
Or is in progress of. He did enough to satisfy
Property
us
4 is
today.
being mitigated and you're satisfied with that?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll move on to property 4.
Property number 5 is 5644 Huron Avenue. The owner is Leona Stoll. The administrative assessment penalty is $2,500. She's in violation of a couple of CMC codes, and I was the citing officer. First pictures were taken on January 21st, 2016, and it's a vacant parcel with a travel trailer on it, and it's dilapidated. Current pictures were taken on 7/26/2016, and the trailer is still there. I had just conversations with this property owner in the beginning. I haven't spoken with her since roughly October of last year. And then she did write in a letter that we received, I believe, today.
Yes. Mr. Swati?
Is it connected, is this the same owner next door to that, or is that all by itself?
All by itself.
Ms. Overton?
Okay, just to let the public know that we received a letter from this owner, property owner. And what I'm concerned with here is when she's elderly, she's 88. Obviously she needs help, and I'm looking at, it's a trailer, it doesn't seem like it'd be that much. If you give us permission to remove it, that maybe we can get some community people to help her. She's not gonna be able to pay this, it's just gonna be really a loss for the community, and what we wanna do is clean up the property. So it doesn't sound to me, I think it sounds to me with this letter that it's more that she just can't get up here and do it because of her age and her illness. It doesn't sound to me like she doesn't want to do something, it just sounds to me like she can't. So I'm looking at that, maybe looking at this a little differently than a normal, because it's not that much, and maybe there's something there that we can get some community people to just help remove the trailer, because that's what needs to happen. So, I mean, and that's basically all there is there, is the trailer. So I think if she give us permission to remove it, then maybe we can just get some people to help remove it. It wouldn't really take that much to do a small trailer like that. I just felt concerned because, I mean, she's 88, she's already had problems, health problems, and she's already said she can't pay the fine, so it's not really going to do us any good because she's not going to be able to pay it. And that maybe we can just help a citizen in a little different way.
Councilmember Harris?
I'm just curious if the trailer is showing any registration. Obviously, it's probably not current, but if it's registered to her, the property owner?
I don't know, I can't get close enough to see any
Right,
registration ID.
So I guess one step might be, if the trailer's been abandoned there and it doesn't have any information on it, I don't know if this would fall under the AVA funds, but I think that might be a solution to move forward with trying to get permission from the homeowner to gain access and possibly just have her report the abandoned trailer on her property.
Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah,
that's an
if that's,
appropriate
if
use.
that's previously registered in her name.
That's why I asked that
then
question.
it wouldn't be eligible.
Right, no, totally understand that, but if it's a situation where it's a trailer that's been abandoned, that's why I'm asking the question. If it's a trailer that's just been abandoned on her property at some point.
It's not a trailer that's been abandoned. She knows it's there and she was aware.
Okay,
And to my knowledge, it was hers or a family member's or something.
okay, so that changes things. I just thought I'd at least throw that out there as a concept.
Yep. Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Spatier.
When did this start again? Was it January 16th or something like that this year?
2016.
2016, so it's been a year and a half, and the letter only arrives now when we're getting to the point of finding. I think if she's able to write now, she was able to write a year ago to ask for help on how it is that we can remove the one trailer. She can get rid of it and reduce it by 90% if she does it within the first 30 days. I'd like to see if maybe we can send a letter to her and let her know and recognize that that's available for her, since she's not here to hear about that. That way she can get rid of it, drop it by 90%, but if she can write a letter now, right when it's the last ditch effort, she could have written a letter a long time ago to try to ask for help.
And in all fairness, I did get a letter in the end of January of 2016, and it said she couldn't do a thing to correct it. So I don't know to take that as she can't or she won't, but on the phone with me, when I did have conversations, she was pretty set in her ways that she wasn't going to move it.
So it's inability or obstinance? From what you...
From my opinion, she has family, so I don't know if it's inability or obstinance. I know she has health issues because she's disclosed that to me, but she does have a daughter that a year ago, in October, said that she would do what she can, but nobody ever called me back to say, hey, I can't, or I want to, I need more time.
Thank you. Councilor Bennett.
Well, that was my question. Did she mention family that could assist her on that, you know?
The daughter did call me in October.
And?
But I haven't heard back. She said she would see what she could do.
She said?
She said she would see what she could do, but I've never in all this time gotten a call back or her left a message, an email, come to the office, anything. So I just kind of gave up trying to call her. I can't force anybody to do anything.
And the letter references that she's living with her daughter in Richmond.
Yeah, that's what it says.
I agree with Councilmember Sabatier that let's just make sure that there's a letter that goes out that lets them inform them that if they remove it within a certain period of time, their fines would be lowered. And that gives them the option to ask for help, and if they don't, then there's really not. We can offer all we want, but, to offer to help, because it's not I don't think it's our goal to not clean up the place and help somebody if they need it, but if they won't allow anybody to do it, then that's going to be a different story.
I'd like to add that type of letter does go out with every assessment.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? I'd like to open this up for any public comment, or if the property owner or daughter or someone representing them is here, this is your time to step forward and offer testimony and evidence. Seeing none, I'd like to bring it back, close the hearing.
So moved, close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Any additional questions, or do we have consensus?
Consensus.
All right, aye. Moving on to the next one. Steve.
Okay, this is property number 6, which I'm going to be pulling. The violations have been cleared. Okay, property number 7 is 3411 Brown Street. The owner is Patricia Mathie. Administrative penalty assessment, $5,000. There was numerous CMC codes, and I was the citing officer. original pictures were taken on 9/29/16. This is inside the house. Damage to the ceiling, to the walls. This is the kitchen. One of the bedrooms. And there were squatters living here. We did red tag the residence. This is the backyard. I believe this is in the hallway by the swamp cooler. It looked like it was leaking. More roof damage. Current pictures were taken on 7/26/17. This was in the backyard. We still have a current problem with squatters. One of the neighbors did come and board up the place, trying to keep the squatters out. But yesterday, or 2 days ago when I drove by, they were still in the front yard. And this is really, he put up by the fence, trying to keep them out of the backyard. Another picture of the backyard. So I wasn't able to get in the house, but I'm sure it's still the same way.
When I was there. And the property owner still frustrated next door?
Yes.
Do we have any contact with the owner?
No.
I'd like to add the property owner is deceased.
That's what I was told.
This is one we'll be taking to applying for a property cycle grant to demo.
Thank you. Mr. Spatian.
My only concern when I went by was there's a huge pile of boxes, and I suspect that if that stays there long enough, that will become a bigger nuisance in that area. Is there any way, I don't know if you have the ability to, since it's on a property, to move those boxes more towards the property, if not in the backyard, rather than out in the open for people to grab and fling around?
I don't think so. I don't think we would want to touch anybody's property.
It's too bad. And I get it.
Thank you. Any other questions of staff before I open it up? This time I'd like to open it for testimony. Is representative of the property owner or someone wishing to offer testimony on this property? Thank you very much. Oh, close.
Having been exposed to a property very similar to this with a dead owner, this becomes a huge nuisance to the neighborhood, and I would like to try to see what we can do as a city to help the neighbors who actually tried to board it up. I know that, Russ, you have a real concern with the plywood. We can paint it a different color.
No, just the fact that the property next door had to put the plywood up to try to keep people from going in and out. That's my bigger concern.
Well, but as we have nobody having direct ownership, at least securing it from the squatters and the party drug house become a huge problem.
Understood.
Especially if it's allowed to go on for years. It is all night, all day, I'll tell you. And Chief Sully can testify that we can call and call. We have multiple people in the neighborhoods calling, and it just doesn't go away. So I don't mind the fines, I don't mind the cleanup, but I think we really need to find a way to address these problem houses in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to offer testimony at this time? Very well, I'll bring it back to a motion to close.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Passed unanimously. Action?
Yes.
Consensus? Yes? Very well, next.
Okay, property number 8 is 16735 Cash Creek Lane. The owner is Stan Antovich. Administrative penalty assessment, $10,000. It has numerous CMC codes, and I was the citing officer. The original pictures were taken on August 18, 2016. There's a broke down vehicle, trailer of garbage. Red tag, there was 2 homes. There was a trailer on the top of the property and a house on the bottom of the property. Current pictures were taken on 7/26/17. This is inside one of the homes. There's a truck full of garbage still. Another pile. The vehicle still, taking the tires off now. We had a travel trailer that was there that burnt down after we had red tagged it. And I believe this was another property where the owner has passed.
Comments or questions? And I'd like to open it up for public. Anyone representing this property or wanting to give testimony, please step forward. Seeing none, I'll bring it back. Have a motion to close.
Motion to close.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Sabatier?
When we know that the owner, Mr. Felder, when we know that the owners have passed, is there anything the county does to help us out to find the next of kin? Is there a program that they're running? I know that sometimes I've gone online and have actually been able to find the next of kin. I helped a property out on, I think it was Cottonwood, to be sold to the neighbor, or there was a RV with a tree growing through it. And eventually found next of kin online, was able to connect them, and he bought the property from her. Is there anything being done at the county level to be able to help us? Is there anything we can do? Is there a program that you can think, because being stuck and finding doesn't lead us necessarily down the path to where we want to go. So I'm just wondering, what other tools are there out there that we can give you or that we can ask from the county to help us out?
I did talk to someone at the county and they said they didn't have any info, no one's paid the taxes. Actually, it hasn't been, the taxes haven't been paid in almost 5 years, so it's going to be, he said it might go up to auction next year. So there was squatters there at one point, so I don't know if they were paying the taxes because the gentleman died 12 years ago. So somebody was paying the taxes. I did go over to PD and I had Nikki help me. We went on Ancestors.com. We were trying to find, and we couldn't find anything. I'm not sure what other programs are out there.
Expediting the county to sell it. So next question. Any other questions? I'll open it up for public comment. Anyone wishing to address council on this side of this property, please step forward. And then I'll bring it back. Do I have a motion to close?
Motion to close.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Ms. Overton.
Okay, so if we know the person is deceased, it basically leaves no property owner to take care of everything. So what makes it that we cannot get volunteers to go in and clean up? What's to stop us from doing that? Legally, I guess, because there's no property owner, obviously, there's nobody that owns the property, so, I mean, it's really great, we're gonna put a fine on this, and these are gonna go where? We fine them, there's no way, I mean, we want them cleaned up, it's not even the fine, I want them cleaned up, and I'm sure the neighbors do too, so why is it that we can't, because there is no property owner? It comes to that point.
The short answer, there actually is a property owner, it'd be the heirs of the estate, and that's the difficulty of finding who there are. The property will always transfer to somebody if there's someone there to take it. So it puts the city in a very difficult spot because you don't know who has the authority to give you the opportunity to go on that property. So I think the short answer is you can't go on there, but I think a foreclosure to the county, because what's going to happen is it truly is abandoned, no one's going to pay the property taxes, and at that point, you could go through foreclosure auctions there.
Yes, but look how long it's taken us to get the county to put on them things. Do we want this sitting there for another 10 years? Yeah, I don't. I'm just thinking that we need to try to figure out some kind of solution for these type of, I agree, for these type of properties, because I don't see we're putting a fine on this one or the other one is going to do us any good. I mean, in fact, I really feel like it's going to deter somebody when it does come up to properties, because we've got this big, huge lien on it. And now somebody that might have bought it for a couple $1,000s and cleaned it up, now they've got this amount on it that they're not going to pay. So are we going to end up ever selling it because we're putting $10,000 of a lien on their property?
Yeah, I mean, so if the seller they come to us and say they want to come and fix the property, we can always reduce or remove the liens. And I think that'd probably be the right protocol
But that's what I look at here, is that we have two properties here of deceased people. We'd like to get them cleaned up, we'd like to get them sold, we'd like to get productive citizens here in our community. But if we have $10,000 left on it, then people are gonna look at that and say, yeah, we've gotta clean it up, it's gonna cost us, that to clean it up, it's gonna cost us that, plus, $20,000, is it worth it? So, but are people gonna know that if they see that $10,000 lien, are they gonna know that that's something that they can come to the city? Most likely not. So I just think these type of properties, we need to start looking at them, I think, a little differently, because I think they're gonna end up being harder to sell, especially ones like this, that there's a trailer and stuff that actually is gonna have to be removed. We know that costs quite a bit of money to do that. So I'm just worried about us with these deceased properties. I'm getting a concern with them doing it this way. I prefer not to put the penalties on, just because I think it's gonna deter us from really selling them to somebody. Because nobody's going to know that they can come to the city. That's just not common knowledge. And get these waived. It's not common knowledge. So that's my opinion. I say that these type, we might not want to put fines on it, and maybe do more research to see if we can find an error. And then if we find somebody that the property owner belongs to, we find them, we contact them, then they don't do anything, then bring it back to put the full fees on.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Dunn?
But you can't leave it with nothing being done.
But nothing's going to be done just because we put fines on it. Nothing's still going to be done.
Well, that's true, but
That's
we
the point.
can't put a notice on, or a note on the property that to contact the city regarding penalties.
Yeah, the lien would have the city as
The lien holder.
lien holder. So if there's any kind of agent or anybody who potentially looking to buy it, you should contact those lien holders to see if the liens can be reduced.
Most of them will just look at it, see it, and move on to the next piece of property. I'm just going to say, we've all been property owners at some point in time, and how many times you're going to look at that and say, $10,000 plus it's going to cost me $20,000 to clean it up, and not worth it, let's move to the next one. If you're out there to invest in property, most of this is going to be one that they're going to just pass by because of that amount on that property. I don't think we're benefiting ourselves by putting that type of fines on a piece of property that we want cleaned up.
Mr. Sabatier?
And I think there's ways that we can put out that message. Maybe we can discuss with the county about submitting our paperwork to go along with the auction to say contact the city of Clearlake for discussion on the liens or something like that. That way they're aware that we're looking to have a discussion about it rather than not being able to know what's possible.
Mr. Harris?
I think it would also be possible for us to obtain a list from the county when they're looking to put these up for auction. And maybe that list comes across our eyes, and we either comes before council or even within the city administration go ahead and waive the liens that are placed on the property in preparation for an auction sale. I don't see, just by putting the assessment on the property today, I don't see why we couldn't remove those assessments in preparation for it to go to auction, knowing that. If we know full well that it may damper somebody's ability to buy the property or it may detract from that, that might be a decision we could make prior to going to auction. We do get a list from the county as to what's going to be put up for auction. So that would be our chance to take action on that prior, right?
Well, I think Mr. Lambert has testimony to offer on that abatement issue.
I just wanted to add that when we assess the properties, we do take property value into consideration. This property here, for instance, is about an 80 by 400 foot lot on Cache Coigny with water access, and it can be developed into two properties. That's why the fine is higher than if it was a 50 by 100 lot with one double wide mobile home on it, with garbage. You're exactly right, Councilmember Overton, that if it was a 50 by 100 lot and a $10,000 fine, no one would ever buy it. But when it's a lot like this that has a lot of value, there's more of a chance of it actually collecting the fine and getting it cleaned.
It has utilities and
it has utilities for two structures. It's a gated property. I think there's a dock down on the creek.
So any investors out there, this is one to look at.
I guess we'll see that.
But Mr. Lambert, once again, the same thing would apply. This particular property as we have more information on. Obviously, we know that it has a higher value and the assessment is based off of that. But if we did have one, for example, that was assessed a $5,000 lien and it's a 50 by 100 lot and it's going to be on the list of items being auctioned, it would come back to the city prior to the auction. So we could take action at that time to remove those if we felt like that would assist in allowing that property to be sold at auction. Is that correct?
I don't know what the county's future process is going to be. This last year when they did it, they did notify us in advance. To some degree, they worked with us, let us know that they were planning to have one and took our input on properties. Then we did see a final list before it went to auction. So this year they did. I don't know if that's a formal procedure they'll do every year, so I don't want to count on that.
Okay. I'd like to add too, when the county auctions them off, the auction, they have an opening bid, which doesn't take into consideration our fines. So a lot of times, we won't even collect fines when they auction them off.
Okay.
For instance, if they owe $25,000 in county taxes and on our $10,000 fine, they'll open it up at $25,000.
The county bid
is the low bid. So a lot of times, we may collect $500 on a $5,000 fine or nothing.
Okay, so, but don't we have a lien on the property?
We do, but we're second behind the property tax. So
But even if somebody buys a property, doesn't the lien go with the property?
if you buy it privately, yes, but at an auction, that's a different story. The
Okay.
auction, you just buy whatever the highest bid is.
County sets the minimum bid.
And everything's wiped off as a lien holder?
That's why, correct.
Okay.
It's much more likely to sell at
We
an
close
auction than
public
it is as a private sale, because who's going to want to buy it with all the encumbrances on it?
So with that being said, it would behoove us to go ahead and assess the properties
Right.
because of the potential of gain.
In code enforcement's opinion, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, that was a good conversation. Thank you.
Do we have a consensus? on this?
Consensus here?
Good, everybody's got consensus. Next.
Okay, property number 9 is 15673 22nd Avenue. The owner is Leon Beach. Administrative penalty assessment is $5,000. I was the citing officer. The original pictures were captured on 1/18/17. This is a picture from the deck on their in the backyard. This is on the side of the yard. Some mattresses and doors on the deck. Current pictures were captured on 7/26/17. This is on the side of the house, overgrown vegetation, other garbage. This is in front of the house. Still the same garbage on the side. And we also red tagged this house.
Questions on property 9? I'd like to open it up for public comment during this public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this property, offer testimony or evidence, please step forward. Seeing none, I'll bring it back. We have a motion to close.
Motion second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Mr. Sabatier.
When I went by that property, the one thing that concerned me was the wide open door and, of course, the typical thought process goes to potential squatters. Is there any plan to try and block that off?
Not that I know of. I stopped by there and I did close the door 2 days ago, so someone must have been there today also.
Okay, property owner, any contact?
I have not had a contact with any property owner. We did have contact with people that were living there. I believe they were family, but they have not contacted me since then, since we red
Not
tagged.
squatters?
No, I don't think they were squatters.
So this was before it was red tagged?
Yeah, it was while we were red tagging it.
Thank you. Anything else? We have a consensus?
Yes.
Good, move forward. Property 10.
Okay, property number 10, 15783 40th Avenue. The owner is Tina Marie Perez. Administrative penalty assessment, $5,000. There's multiple CMCs. I was the citing officer. Original pictures were taken on 1/25/17. This is the side of the house where the skirting was open. This is inside the house, in the kitchen. One of the bathrooms. And I red tagged it. Current pictures were taken 7/26/17. This is on the side of the house, broken windows. There's the deck that was missing boards and it was unsafe. Side of the house. Inside one of the bedrooms. Broken window.
All right, thank you. Open it up for public comment or testimony. Anyone wishing to give off the testimony or evidence, this is your time. So I'll bring it back. Motion to close. Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any other questions? Very well, we have consensus.
Consensus.
Okay, we have item 11. There is no 11. I'm getting a little fuzzy. All right, we have a motion in for all items on the properties on this item.
The code portion asked to remove 4 and 6 as well.
Pardon?
4 and 6, did say 4 and 6 should be removed.
Should be removed, so that should be included in the motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion and adopt resolution number 2017-47, resolution of City Council of the City of Clearlake confirming special assessments consisting of administrative penalties for failure to abate public nuisance and approve lien against real properties in accordance with sections 1-5, 1-9, 10-1.6, 17, 19, 112, 22, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 31, 33, 5, and 5-6 of the Clearlake Municipal Code, minus number 4, property number 4 and number 6 listed on our agenda.
A second?
A motion and a second by Mr. Harris. Do we have a roll call vote?
Councilmember Overton? Councilmember Bennett?
Aye.
Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sabatier?
Aye.
Mayor Purdall?
Aye. Moving on.
So can I say something real quick?
Just a second.
Okay.
If I could just ask you to have a seat, I'll call you up. Yes, sir.
We took off agenda item number 7, which was a marijuana appeal.
Yes.
But apparently the folks are here, so I don't know if we still want to talk about it.
It's been removed.
Okay.
It's been removed, so it's done. Moving on to item 8. This is a public hearing to confirm assessments in the total of $30,528.94 for abatement of 14709 Palmer Avenue in accordance with Clearlake Municipal Code sections 10-1.6, 10-1.8, 10-2.21, sorry, 10-2.1, 10-2.2, 10-2.7C, 10-5.1, and 10-5.4. Mr. Lambert, are you the reporting officer on this one?
I am. So the purpose of the hearing is to consider and act upon any and all appeals of proposed assessment. Upon consideration of the evidence and testimony, council may grant the appeal and adopt a resolution to deny or amend the assessment, or deny the appeal and adopt a resolution upholding the assessment for abatement of real property located at 14709 Palmer Avenue. Again, the address is 14709 Palmer Avenue. Assessor parcel number is 040-193-560. The last known owner is the Lake County Community Action Agency. The total assessment amount for abatement is $30,528.94. And I was the citing officer. And that's the property now.
Councilor Overton.
That was.
Before you go any further, okay, I need to ask a legal question. So I sat on this board that owned this property. Do I need to recuse myself? It no longer exists.
I'm what do you mean by a board?
Okay, the Lake County Community Action Agency, both of us sat on that board during, when they were open. They're no longer open. They've closed. That's the reason why this property didn't get taken care of, but we were on that board. So
What was your role? What did the board
we were just-
do?
we ran this facility. Basically, we oversaw the running of these facilities and everything, so
Of the Lake County Community Action Agency.
it was a nonprofit.
Taken over by North Coast Opportunities. This was just a piece of property that the agency owned.
While we were on the board.
While
Did
we
you
were
get
on
any
the board.
financial compensation being on the board? Or not?
No.
No.
I would
We
say,
wish.
I don't think there is a,
Oh, yeah.
I don't think there's a legal conflict from sitting on the board. I think if you want to recuse yourself, you certainly could.
No, I don't have a problem. I just wanted to clarify that we were on the board, so.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any further testimony?
I just want to clarify, I believe that assessment amount is due to the cost of the demolition, correct?
Yeah, correct. This assessment is for demolition, and the assessment won't be collected by us. If we collect the assessment, it will go back to the grant we received from Cal Recycle.
And that was actually, I believe, part of the agreement with Cal Recycle is that the cost of the demo would be put onto the property so that in the future, potentially, the cost of the demo could be recouped by Cal Recycle.
Yes, they're the first in line.
Thank you. Mr. No questions?
I answered myself.
Very well. I would like to open the public hearing and offer time to receive testimony or evidence on this property. Anyone wishing to do so can do so now. Seeing none, I'll bring it back for motion to close.
So moved.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any further discussion or questions? Do I have action on?
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 2017-48 denying the appeal and
It's 3-9.
I wondered why something looked funny there. To adopt resolution number 2017-39, a resolution of the City Council, City of Clearlake confirming special assessments for the abatement of the real property located at 14709 Palmer Avenue and approve lien against real properties in accordance with the sections 10-1.6, 10-1.8, 10-2.1, 10-2.2, 10-2.7, and 10-5.1-10-5.1 of the City of Clearlake Municipal Code.
Motion to have a second. Have a motion and a second by Councilman Overton. And we have a roll call vote.
Councilmember Overton? Councilmember Bennett?
Aye.
Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sabatier?
Aye.
Mayor Purdall?
Aye. Moving on to item 9, public hearing to confirm assessment in a total amount of $51,002.14 for the abatement of 14718 Emory Avenue in accordance with Clearlake Municipal Code sections 10-1.6, 10-1.8, 10-2.1, 10-2.2, 10-2.7C, and 10-5.1 through 10-5.4. Mr. Lambert, is this yours?
It is. So again, the purpose of this hearing is to consider and act upon any and all appeals of proposed assessment. Upon consideration of the evidence and testimony, council may grant the appeal and adopt a resolution to deny or amend the assessment, or deny the appeal and adopt a resolution upholding the assessment for abatement of real property located at 14718 Emory Avenue. The address again is 14718 Emory Avenue, assessor parcel number 040-19335, owner Claudia Schilling. Total assessment amount due $51,002.14. I was the signing officer, and that's the photo now. Staff recommends that you adopt a resolution to uphold the assessment.
Thank you. questions on this property for the investigating officer? Seeing none? You have a question?
What's the background on this?
I believe it was a resort many years ago that turned into vagrant housing. The police department has had many years had numerous calls at this location. There was 2 fires started in the front room in a fireplace by vagrants or homeless within a span of about 2 months prior to the demolition of these buildings. I'd also like to add the property owner has several properties in the city. She's deceased, but they're all dilapidated and run down like this.
Thank you. Any other questions? This time I'd like to open the public hearing and accept public testimony. Anyone wishing to offer that, either testimony or evidence on this property, please step forward. Seeing none, I'll bring it back. Do I have a motion to close?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second by Councilman Overton. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. Do we have an action?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution or adopt resolution number 2017-40, resolution of the City Council of the City of Clearlake confirming special assessments for the abatement of real property located at 14718 Emery Avenue and approve lien against real property in accordance with sections 10-16, 18, 21, 22, 27, and 51 through 54 of the Clearlake Municipal Code.
Second.
I have a motion in multiple seconds. Second by Councilmember Bennett. We have a roll call vote.
Councilmember Overton. Councilmember Bennett.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sabatier.
Aye.
Mayor Purdock.
Aye. Been rolling now for about an hour and 21 minutes. Let's take a 5 or 10 minute break. Let's take a 10-minute break. See you back here at 7:30. It's fun. Yeah, right. Hey, welcome back. How's the fishing? I thought you were going fishing. I haven't seen you since you left to go. Yeah, I haven't seen you since. You called it. You got skunked. Just washed out.
You guys leaving?
Dying. You just never know. Yeah, you just never know what's going to come out of that man's mouth. Well, he mentioned that he put, you should cremate him before they die. Anyway. Yeah, hearts off. Yes, it's not
Feels like you're tired, you've been working hard.
What's that?
I said, feels like you're tired, you've been working hard.
Yeah, that time of the year. I know, right?
I think it really gets busy when there's triple-digit temperatures and single-digit temperatures. That's when the money starts rolling in.
2 digits are not
So bad. Yeah,
Yeah, so I hear there was times when things were a lot more exciting up here. And that, like, boy, you used to have parties. I know. Well, he was my neighbor till he died. No, I put a bid on a place, but it got snatched from me. I'll keep looking. One of these. Now I gotta get a place down there so I can be a member.
All right.
Pay the piper. Right. Yeah, the whole concept is lost. People don't understand how it works.
Yes, yes, well,
Good. Yeah, they're just hammering it out. Yeah, it's nonstop. Overwhelming. No, I don't know about that. I think it's the opposite.
Last weekend, and I got to enjoy building a fire pit, prepping a 8-foot, 16-foot area around it, 8-foot on the sides of it. Yeah, it closes in July. There's snow diving in July.
Where you guys been?
That was Bobby's.
Where? Timbuktu.
They just made things.
There was no.
Well,
That's why John left. Don't left. He was doing it. And obviously it must have been that close to being raised that.
How many times do you have to hear about it every day?
Okay, I'll poll the council, see which one they like best.
Got dirt on my stomach and everything.
No, there's no reason to not. It's inhabitable, it's inhabitable.
That's what she wants. She wants what she gets. Right, Phil? He's happily married for 40 years now?
23.
40. 20. He's only 40 years old. I started dating in kindergarten.
Yeah, we were getting remarried, actually. Getting remarried right before 25th.
You know what? You've been married longer than you've been not married. Mr. Bennett? Mr. Bennett, it's time to go to work again. Mr. Bennett? Mr. Bennett, it's time to go back to work.
Okay.
They're talking about trout fishing, so, you know, priorities. I know. I was talking to her earlier. Yeah, apparently she whipped Chuck. What was it, 12 to 4? Is that 12 fish to 4 fish? So, all right. Dr. Regan. Mr. Leonard, quit heckling. Have a seat, please. I'd like to call this back to order. And moving on to our business, item number 10, consideration, second reading, and adoption of 198-2017, an ordinance amending section 4 of chapter 11 of the Clearlake Municipal Code establishing universal garbage service, providing rules and regulations governing the collection, handling, and disposal of solid waste and other operating regulations. Mr. Folsom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we're going to talk about the consideration of the proposed ordinance regarding the universal solid waste collection. Just as a little bit of background, we've already gone through this once. The council approved the first reading of the ordinance back in June of this year. But City of Clearlake currently does not have a universal solid waste collection ordinance, which is unusual and out of place with the direction the state is going regarding solid waste. The city received a non-compliance letter in 2009, but was able to resolve the situation. However, we remain vulnerable to future fines or penalties as regulations get stricter. Clearlake also suffers from an inordinate amount of illegal dumping. Council originally formed an ad hoc committee comprised of Mayor Purdock, Vice Mayor Fortino Dixon to work with city staff. The proposed ordinance was discussed in 2016 but tabled due to the resignation of Vice Mayor Fortino Dixon. Once the council was fully seated again, Councilmember Harris joined the ad hoc committee. Supervisor Jeff Smith from the county also attended to bring the county perspective on this issue. This proposed ordinance will require all residential properties in the city that include a single-family home, mobile home park, or mobile unit residential property. The city may require for commercial properties that have solid waste-related code violations. Commercial properties that do not subscribe to the service must provide disposal receipts to the city on a quarterly basis. We've gone over all this at the last meeting, so this is just, I'm trying to be real brief for you. Some exemptions are residential properties where no food is prepared or consumed, residential properties where no solid waste of any kind is generated, residential properties not connected to power or water and are not able to connect without action by the utility, vacation homes used exclusively by the owner and not rented or used by others during the year. A solid waste code violation will terminate an approved exemption. If failure to pay, 90 days past due, CWS stands for Clearlake Waste Solutions, which is our franchise waste hauler. may reduce the service to the smallest bin size and discontinue the collection of recyclables and green waste. CWS will make reasonable and material efforts to collect before submitting for assignment to the city. The city will then initiate collection procedures and has the power to assess on the property taxes. The city is not responsible for bad debt incurred by CWS prior to the implementation of universal service. The process, once the ordinance is effective, CWS will begin a multi-stage notification that universal service is coming. CWS and the city will work together to identify new customers. The initial estimate is approximately 2,000 additional customers. CWS will need to purchase additional equipment, for example, trucks and containers. The target implementation date is April 1st of next year. So our recommended action is to move to hold the second reading and adopt ordinance number 198-2017 by title only and waive further reading, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Folsom. Any questions of staff at this time? Mr. Sabatier?
Yeah, I was asked a question from a constituent.
Turn your mic on.
I'm sorry, I turned it off for the break. I had a question that came to me from a constituent who owns a lot of properties that are either empty homes or vacant lots. What is the renewal process annually? Is it going to be a brand new application, or is it going to be a more simplified version? He was just wondering if he has to go through the entire process all over again, or if there's a much simpler renewal application that will come along.
Of the exemption?
Yes.
I don't believe we discussed that.
I don't know. I think a very simple extension would make sense. We just want to confirm that it's still vacant.
Like almost like a visual inspection by city staff to say, yes, that is true, it's still a vacant lot.
I mean, the application itself, we haven't created it, but I foresee it being fairly simple. It's going to be, do you, going back to those items, is it a vacation home, and show proof that it's a vacation home, or is there not power or water to the building? They just have to show that it meets one of those exemptions.
But I understand if you have 20 of these lots, and you don't want to fill out 20 applications every time, I think the initial and the ongoing one would be pretty simple and straightforward anyway. But we'll continue to work that.
Okay. Thank you.
Good question. Anyone else? Very well, I'd like to open this up for public comment. Anyone wishing to address council on this item, please step forward.
Cheryl Lawman, I didn't give you my name last time, but you know, 27 online. I want to establish an initial fee for a home that would be requesting service by the city to have the exemption. I think we should have to pay as a vacation person, for example, a vacation home, your cost to actually provide that service to us. I don't think it's up to the city residents of Clearlake to pay for the exemptions. I think that a donation could be made to the police department that would include volunteer police, neighborhood watch, and citizens caring for Clearlake that would take those fees that we might otherwise pay and help provide cleanup and garbage services where they may need to be here in Clearlake. So I also think that lots may be handled a little bit differently because there's so many of them. So thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Vicki Crystal, and I am here just to say I am in favor of this. I am part of CC4C, and I'm in the trenches almost daily. And what I see is not only dump that is dumped on private property, but along all the highways and all the streets. And we're being called continuously to help out with that as well as just doing it on our own. So I highly recommend that this ordinance passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Suzanne Scholes, City of Clear Lake. I would really like to see this pass. I think that $16.85 a month or $4 a week
is truly not going to break somebody. I mean, I think that that's less than a pack of cigarettes. So I think that the amount for the small can is not onerous. And I think that the benefits are our property values throughout the city as the garbage gets picked up on a regular basis, as opposed to being dumped somewhere. And you know, CC4C has only so much manpower to go out and clean, and obviously we can't even clean lots that are owned by someone. So you can't even go and do that. And I had a lot next to me that had a squatter on it, and the garbage piled up absolutely immensely. And fortunately, we got the owner's permission to go in and clean it up. But that property's red tagged, it still hasn't been actually dealt with. And you know, it takes, as we've learned tonight, a long time. So having garbage, you know, having the ability to put it out in a small can for $16.85 a month. And you know, if you absolutely can't pay, you don't pay, it goes on your property tax. And the senior that's older, and when they finally pass away, then it gets paid then. So I really support the universal garbage. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Elliot Ness. I live on 20th Avenue. And in the previous meeting, at least once, I've told you my basic reasoning to be in favor of this ordinance. So today I'm here as a storyteller. Because in the last 24 hours, 2 incidents have happened right in front of me that are very much relevant to this matter. The first began yesterday, late yesterday, when I noticed a pile of garbage that someone had dumped right off the sidewalk, right on Olympic Drive, no less. That alone should be plenty of evidence in favor of this ordinance. Quick aside, there's a silver lining to that particular pile of garbage. When I returned there this morning with implements, a passerby stopped and insisted on helping to clean it up. She was neither young nor nimble, but she wanted to help clean that up because this is her town too. The second event took place as I drove away with this morning's loot. On the 4-lane section of Highway 53, there was a garbage can rolling around in the traffic lanes. The cars were shooting left, right, up, down, dodging that can. And that sounds to me like a recipe for a crash. Even worse, that garbage can had blown out of a pickup over the tailgate, so I saw the pickup later. So he was airborne. Could very well have hit the windshield. That's probably a certain crash. And as I pulled that can out of the road, the owner of the can returned. Yet he had hauled his own garbage to the county dump. Now, previously I have applauded those who haul their own garbage in a presumably responsible manner. As of this morning, I need to qualify that praise because this sub-hauler was no methamphetamine-addled buffoon. Not at all. This was a highly distinguished and accomplished citizen of this county whose name everyone in this room would instantly recognize. And still, such a sensible and competent man inadvertently allowed that garbage can to blow out of his pickup truck onto the highway. Folks, this incident, I believe, shows that hauling garbage is not appropriate as an amateur sport. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Lori Aiken. I've been part of CC4C for a couple of years, and I'm really happy that we're going to have garbage, or hopeful we'll have garbage pickup with all the citizens here for the properties. In case anyone in the city or anyone you know is not for this whole thing, I have some pictures that I'm happy to leave with anyone of just a few of the properties and or the garbage dumps we've picked up over the years. And I also wanted to, on a positive note, let Lieutenant Selly know that your police department is a big part in helping us do this. We are cleaning, this year we're starting our second year of cleaning Burns Valley Creek out, and I know Bruno, you probably remember a couple of years ago in there when everything imaginable we found in that creek, and we just did a clean last Friday, and it's like really not bad at all. It looks like a creek, actually. It's dry, but there was trash, and we're cleaning some of the brush to help the flow of the creek for the winter, but there is really good progress being done, especially in Burns Valley Creek. So thank you, and thank your officers.
Thank you.
I'm Peter Thomas. I'm a resident of Clearlake. I'm a volunteer for CC4C, and CC4C is limited in manpower. It's mostly women powered, but they do a great job. And unless you've been to an illegal dump site and picked the trash up, I've done that several times. It's appalling, and I support this. Please pass this. I've been hearing, I worked in Clearlake for 14 years and heard that 14 years how the city of Clearlake wants to clean itself up. This is a way to do it. Please do the right thing. Thanks.
Thank you.
Jeff Leonard, City of Clearlake. In my 6 years of volunteering with code enforcement, I couldn't even tell you the amount of times that I went to places where people were self-hauling. They had utility trailers filled with garbage, old pickup trucks filled with garbage. It makes no sense. This is something that's needed to happen a long time ago. I'm glad to see it coming forward, and it's only a benefit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pickup truck loaded with it. Actually, garbage pickup is good for the community. People pay for them to pick up their garbage and haul it to the dump, so they don't have to do it. Now, Waste Solution is a huge corporation. They're all over. Now, the city of Clearlake is trying to enforce and make people pay for a service, just like your telephone bill, your PG&E. It's nothing more than a service for the community. And if you drive around, they have a big old garbage can, a little bit of garbage in the bottom of it, and they are paying dearly for it. Now, what I have noticed right out here in the entryway, you have a drop box for Waste Solution. And truthfully, I think you're in violation.
Thank you for the testimony. Is anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Please step forward. Very well, I'll bring it back to council for further deliberation. Mr. Sabatier, do you have a comment or question?
I know that I received a lot of complaints about us moving forward with the universal garbage, and I'm kind of sad, and I don't see anybody here to voice their opinion in the right platform, in the right place. But I think that people need to also look forward to changing their habits. If you have a big 90-gallon barrel, try to go for the lower barrel so you pay less. and manage your garbage in a better way. Find ways to recycle. Don't purchase as much items with big boxes or big packaging that you have to throw away in your garbage. There's ways to manage your garbage that can be more efficiently used with a smaller garbage can, which then you can maybe almost save the money that you would now have to spend if you look at the increase by holding on to that same 90-gallon garbage can. I've seen the tiniest of garbages that I think is even less than the 20-gallon one, and I have a 20-gallon one. I have 4 people that live in my household, and we never overfill a 20-gallon garbage can. There's ways to make it work so that even the increase of fees, you downgrade your garbage size and you won't see the increase at all. So I think that it's a way to change our habits of not habitually using a very low-cost service without being mindful of how it is that we waste, because we're always creating waste, and we need to be mindful of how it is that we manage that waste. And I think this is a good way to change behavior and clean up our city.
Councilwoman Overton.
So one thing I do want to, and I've received, of course, I think I told you guys before, I did a survey. I do run around in a different group than you younger boys do. And I only actually had one person that said they were for this. And one of the problems was that some of the older people that are on fixed incomes that live next door to each other share a can because they only come up with a little bag, a week. And so this is, to them, where it doesn't seem like a lot of money to you guys, but it is a lot of money to people that are on fixed incomes that barely make their payments on their house or their insurance, and there's lots of other things that they have to pay. So I think we all want our city to be cleaned up. That's foresight, but I'm also wish somebody would have been here too. I can't fight it by myself. If they want it, they need to be here to speak of it. But I wanted to clarify that if it goes on their property taxes, that they need to pay the property taxes that year, so it will still affect them. They can't wait till they die. What will happen is these same people who will now not be able to afford their property taxes because of the bout that goes on in a year will end up losing their homes, because those are the ones that the county will put up for auction right away because they're livable houses. They don't really care about these ones that we're dealing with in code enforcement. But so look in 5 or 6 years after this has gone into force and start seeing how many people of these seniors who you don't think it affects are going to be losing their homes because they can't pay their property taxes. And they're not going to take payments on that property taxes. Pay it all or you don't get to pay anything. So where you think it not going to hurt anybody, I do feel it's going to. And I'm all for cleaning up our cities, don't get me wrong. I'm voicing the opinions of the people who came to me. I just wanted it on the record and out there that these are problems, and I do think that we need to be cautious of watching these things and what's going to happen. And when somebody needs help, I like to have some ideas on how we can help them. So great that we have people cleaning up our town, and I appreciate you guys, solely appreciate you guys. But don't think that because we have garbage services that this is going to take away the people dumping their stuff. It's not. The people being irresponsible are just irresponsible. They're still going to dump their couches. They're still going to dump their things, even though they'll be able to call up and have it. They just won't do it. So I don't think it's going to, it might change it a little bit, but I don't think we're going to clean up our town and nobody dumping is not going to be that miracle cure. It will take some of it away, but it won't be the miracle cure. And I just wanted that on the record, so thank you for letting me do that.
That's right, Bennett.
I've also, I think like everybody sitting up here have gotten comments on this ordinance. And it's about half and half. What I thought was telling the other day was one individual approached me and was complaining about the ordinance, and the individual was of an advanced age, shall we say, and smoking a cigarette and talking about how it was going to affect his income. He's on a fixed income and he didn't get an increase in Social Security. Well, I didn't either this year. And on and on. And, so he didn't like it. Anyway, later on that day, I went over here to Patriot Gas and filled up my truck. and I noticed his brand of cigarettes. So when I went in to buy a newspaper after I gassed up my truck, I asked how much that brand of cigarette cost. It was $9.87 a pack. So if he bought a couple of packs a month, is that about what we pay for a 20-gallon can? I don't know what he's complaining about. You know, let's make adjustments in our lifestyle, keep our city clean, and in the long run, our city's going to be dinged by the state if we don't enact this. There's going to be consequences for city finances. There's going to be, we have a strategic plan to make it Clearlake a visibly cleaner city, and it's just something has to be done. It's the way it is. And I mentioned before when we discussed this, that go down the Bay Area, go up to Sacramento, where my two sons live. They want to bring their garbage up here and dump it. It's one heck of a lot cheaper for them to transport their garbage up here compared to what they're paying down there in Union City and in Rockland compared to what we're paying here. So that's my comment.
Thank you. Mr. Sabatier.
Got the first reason why I put my pen up. Oh yeah, it's my first reason. I believe last time we had Bruce McCracken come up and said that there are potential other options, and I think it's kind of like code enforcement. Contact CWS and see what's possible, because I've seen garbage bags be picked up on the side of the street that were prepared for CWS to pick up rather than an actual garbage can, and so obviously they had other plans before where they would collaborate with the individual, the residents, to figure out how it is that they can get garbage. I know we're going to get the garbage cans, but I think that there was options that were being talked about by Bruce, unless I'm mistaken.
But it's not in our ordinance, so what they can, it's not what they can do, it's what our ordinance states. If it's not in our ordinance, then it doesn't really make any difference. What they say they want to do is in our ordinance that they have to have it.
That they have to have a service, but I think that with CWS, they can call them and see what's possible for.
Wasn't it talk about a can size, individual, a small, did we go by can size?
The rates are based on can size. I believe the ordinance does say that if you have a residence, you have to have service.
Yes.
Okay. But it doesn't say anything about what kind, like the bag. Let's see.
As long as you have service with CWS, I think that's the mandate of the.
Well, yes. Can we get some comment on that?
Am I mistaken on this, Mr. Rebecca?
Gonna get you up here one way or the other.
Of course, that's why he's here, right? Just there's questions here with the seniors that I deal with. So one of it is that 3 of them share a can now. So they have garbage service, they share a can. They don't fill the can that they have, and they have the smallest can even between the 3 of them. So is there something that's going to be able to happen for something like that, per se?
Well, let me answer both questions kind of at once. We do have a bag service, have had it forever, 30 years. And people call up, and mostly vacationers, like along Lakeshore, that side. And they're up for the weekend, they get those gray bags, it says keep your neighborhood clean, blah, blah, blah. And they set it out, when they leave. The ordinance is the city's. So whatever's in the ordinance, we have to do. So I don't know if I'm the person to answer. We could do that, but again, it's what the ordinance tells us to do through our franchise.
I think the question was, our ordinance just says they have to have some kind of service. It doesn't say how many cans or what size cans or any of that. That's strictly up to what they want to work out. Am I correct? Because I just said, just says service, correct?
That is up to some
Per property.
interpretation. Correct. What level of service?
So they could go, so let's say it just says service. What would they be able to do for just a bag, a small bag, and how would they be able to do that?
They just call our office, or they come here to City Hall and purchase.
And what would that cost differently than what they would be paying for?
Each bag is roughly $6.85, and it covers the service. So, I don't want to go too far
Still
deep.
really would benefit them to really,
$6.85 per bag.
okay. So they could bring in a bag per se, since it just says service once a month, as long as they have service at some point. See, that's what I'm trying to get. What does that mean? Clarification, basically, So I guess the clarification here is if they have service, but is it service that they have to have picked up every week? Is it service they can have picked up once a month? Is it just service that they have to have monthly service? So
Our rate structure, I believe, was based on a monthly service.
On a weekly
So,
basis.
yeah, and I don't believe we had bags in there as part of that monthly service. So,
But our
the way
rate
I'm
scale
reading it
was for his rate scale, that's not in our ordinance, per se. That our ordinance doesn't have a rating scale. That's
the ordinance itself does.
Yeah, that doesn't have anything to do with, that's not nothing to do with our ordinance. What they charge doesn't have anything to do with our ordinance. So our ordinance says they have to have service. It doesn't say they have to have weekly service. It just says they have to have service,
No,
correct?
it just says residential service. So definitely would need, I would interpret that to individual service. I don't think you can share with your neighbor. I think everybody.
Right, but each one of them could say, bring in a bag,
Step to that.
have them pick up a bag once a month, they still have monthly service. As long as they're having their garbage picked up at their place. I just want to be able to know what I'm going to tell my people, my seniors when they complain to me. So I want to have a clarification from the city that, is that going to be something, not that I would want them to only pick it up once a month for sure. I would not want that, but if that's,
I think we need to be realistic in what we're talking about.
again, service is service. We're not clarifying in our ordinance.
But a monthly pickup, I don't know that.
But I'm just saying, we're not clarifying that though. We're just saying that they must have their garbage picked up. We're not saying how
Well,
many
here,
often.
if you look at 11-4.2 at the bottom, such arrangement shall specify the location of the property, solid waste container type and size, as frequency of selection shall not be less than once each week.
Okay, so once a week, okay. All right,
I guess the volume just was flexible.
all right, okay, that's the clarification.
It has to be weekly, or we'd have it accomplished. Mr. Harris.
So I think one of the defining caveats to this rule would be if somebody was filing an extension or an exemption based off of it being a vacation home, that sort of thing. That's when we would have the situation where they could obtain the bag. What we need a real clarification of this. One of the main objectives we're trying to achieve here is to provide solutions for recycling. So if we're allowing people to come in and pick up a bag, we're not separating, we're not having diversion, we're not accomplishing a huge portion of the task we're trying to accomplish with this. We're also not accomplishing, likely, acquiring the volume of garbage that they're actually producing. If we're allowing the bag as your service, the problem with that is that people will utilize that as a solution for minimalizing their purchase price of the situation, and they will still produce more volume. And absolutely they will produce recycling and green waste, and there will be no separation or diversion of those items. So just to clarify, during the work on this ordinance, the bag topic was brought up and discussed, and that was set aside for the purpose of accomplishing garbage pickup for somebody that was in an exemption type of a situation where they still need to have garbage pickup, but they're only there at the property, let's say rarely. Somebody that's living at the residence would fall under the guidelines of full service.
And I totally see that. I wouldn't want somebody sitting in a bag of garbage out either, so that's just saying. No, I just want a clarification. Basically, I want a clarification of exactly what it is, because it will be asked. And I want a clarification on what exactly the ordinance pertains to trash pickup. So.
What is the minimum can? The minimum volume?
20 gallon.
20 gallon.
Okay, so the minimum service would be a 20 gallon.
$4 a week.
Right.
$4 a week.
Okay, $4 a
And
week.
just as an aside, you're right, people that have bag service or weekenders come up, they don't have a blue can. They don't
Less
have
than a
green.
percent? Less than a percent?
Oh, yeah, yes.
And
Fraction of a percent?
And to expand on what I'm saying, if you have a 20-gallon garbage can, you still get a full-size blue one and a full-size green one.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So that's really what we're trying to accomplish here. Even if you're able to do, as Vice Mayor Bruno had suggested, and take steps to minimize your garbage production, which would be the ideal form here. You minimize your garbage production, which reduces the amount of can space you have to pay for. You get the blue can and the green can regardless.
Right.
So if you can find ways to overutilize the blue can and the green can for the proper things that go in there, and it reduces the amount of garbage you produce, we all win. So I think that's really what we're trying to accomplish with this whole thing. We're trying to accomplish, accommodating the recycling needs that we need as a state, and the diversion needs, and sorting needs, and this does that by having the 3 different cans. But you can go all the way down to that 20-gallon, which is the minimum, 20-gallon can, and you're able to still have those other 2 cans, and that's the real win for me.
Hold on, Bruce. Sorry.
Don't worry away. You're just getting started.
I have 2 more things. I wanted to clarify, because I emailed Cal Recycle, there is no state mandate that says we have to have universal garbage. This is us choosing this because we feel it's the best fit for our community. The only issue we can have with the state is if our diversion rates start plummeting and we end up in the position we used to be about 5 to 6 years ago, maybe.
Right, I mean, there is some legislation that is moving along that may require green waste and mixed organic waste, food scraps, et cetera. There's a big push to mandate that every business and every resident would have to have that in the entire state. Now, whether that becomes the law or not, I don't know, but it is moving through Sacramento.
Because it just seems sometimes like we have the fear that if we don't do this, we're going to get fined, but at this moment in time, that's not the case. This is us making a decision that's best for what is for our community.
Correct. If we go backwards on this thing, like what happened 7 years ago and 8 years ago, then they have that ability to come in and tell you what to do.
And if I remember, it was like 20,000 a day or something like that.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, we don't want to be there. And based on the stories of your family members coming to dump, I think we should look at implementing a fee from out-of-towners that come and dump on our dump.
I recommend a host fee of like $10 a day.
At least.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? I close public comment. Come on up, Bill. You want to tell us what a pack of cigarette costs?
Well, all I wanted to do was tell Nick they're only $4 a pack.
Drive the niece, everyone, if you want to start smoking. All right. I too had some questions. I think it was easily kind of resolved in pointing out that the billing cycle is for 3 months. It's not a monthly billing. There's some people that were, I think, confused about that. But to break it all down, for the 20-gallon, we're looking at just a little bit above or at $4 per can. The 32 is 5, and the 64 is 7. Try to find somebody that will haul your garbage and pay the dump fees for that amount. I really appreciate and applaud CC4C. Thank you for coming out here. I've been to other cities that have universal garbage, and I don't see the garbage around town in those cities like I do here. I absolutely believe that this does improve the illegal dumping that we're seeing, and it will. And that's why we've been working so hard and diligently to bring this to this body for action. With that said, we have an action.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to approve ordinance number 198-2017, an ordinance amending section 4 of chapter 11 of the Clearlake Municipal Code, establishing universal garbage service, providing rules and regulations governing the collection, handling, and disposal of solid waste and other operating regulations, and waive further reading and adopt the ordinance.
I'd like to second.
I have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, do we have a roll call vote?
Councilmember Overton? Councilmember Bennett,
Aye.
Councilmember Harris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sabatier,
Aye.
and Mayor Purdom.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. And I appreciate everyone being here and offering their opinions. Thank you. Moving on to item 11, discussion of potential collaboration with Adventist Health. Mr. Folsom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Overton and I have both had conversations with Adventist Health. Rebecca Southwick from Adventist Health is here, and I'd like to introduce her and have her give a few words on this item to begin with.
Wonderful, thank you. Ms. Southwick, are you in the audience? Please step forward.
Thank you for waiting patiently.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I saw some of you yawning, so I'm going to try to be interesting and brief. Thanks for having me. I am Rebecca Southwick with Adventist Health Clearlake, and some things you'll notice right away is no PowerPoint, no handouts, and as we get deeper into this, I'll probably be saying, that's a good question, and I'll get back to you often, all right? But what I do have is a vision, and I'd like to share it with you. Part of the reason that I'm here is the vision actually involves something that's owned by the city of Clearlake. So let me share our vision with you. It's no secret that Adventist Health Clearlake has very much invested in this community's health and wellness. So you know about, well, I hope you know about our medical office on Lakeshore Drive. It's one of the busiest clinics in the United States. We're actually slated to see about 150,000 patients this year. Our dental suite, we see about 2,000 patients every month. And the Canocti Wellness Center, located on Lower Lakes campus, is one of just two kinds of its clinics, two of its kind of clinics in the state of California. So, and the Live Well program. Do you guys know about our Live Well program?
Yes.
Yes, no, yes, okay, good. Well, the Live Well program is part of why I'm here. We have outgrown our Live Well program space. And when I first arrived 6 years ago, one of the first things I noticed was we don't have a swimming pool here. I lived in Idaho, and I lived in the middle of nowhere, which is kind of a redundancy in and of itself. I lived on a 40-acre ranch, and I was still 20 minutes away from 2 indoor swimming pools. So when I got here, I was like, where are all the pools, right? When I arrived at Adventist Health Clearlake, one of the first people I spoke with was Dr. Shapiro. You know Dr. Shapiro. Huge advocate for the community. And he said, you know, one thing that we really don't have is a place for little kids and older adults, as in seniors, to interact. And I kind of argued with him, and I said, yeah, well, what about churches? He's like, yeah, no, I'm thinking more like programs and things. And I thought, okay, all right. As the years passed, I've had more and more people come to me and say, we need a pool. We need a pool. So all of a sudden, all these pieces kind of came together, and I thought, wait a second, what if we could put Live Well with a pool? How would that look? Okay. It so happened I kind of had this idea while I was at the Clearlake Senior Community Center, and I started looking around, thinking, wait a second. So, presented it to my CEO. He liked the idea. Presented it to my philanthropy council. I happen to be a fundraiser. They loved the idea. And then met with Greg, and he was interested in the idea. And I'm here now. Now, let me say that hospitals should not operate fitness centers, all right? Nor should the inverse be true either. So I did some research. I've been doing some research. I contacted the YMCA of America, and they gave me a long tutorial and put me in touch with the YMCA of Sonoma. YMCA of Sonoma is interested in expanding its footprint here, okay? With some caveats, and here's the caveats. Actually, I'll tell you about the caveats, and then I'm gonna tell you what I think this center is gonna look like. The caveats are YMCA's don't enter into communities unless there's a market feasibility study, all right? They don't just go, great, thanks for having us. They need numbers, they need statistics. I don't enter into a capital campaign until we do a donor feasibility study, which gives me an idea of what the propensity is for giving here. I'm going to pause for just a moment because I've gone off of my notes to tell you what the Live Well Community Center looks like in our head, all right? This is if we got everything we wanted, all right? So, indoor swimming pool, I would love it to be Olympic sized, but I will take large, heated, indoor, open year round, all right? Basketball court, a fitness center as in a weight room, along with a fitness studio where we could do yoga, tai chi, Zumba. I love kickboxing, it's just me. Along with our industrial kitchen, we would like to actually include an educational space within the industrial kitchen so that we can teach people how to make nutritious, economical meals. We would like to include the senior center program in this building. We don't want to kick them out. Seniors are integral to this whole project, and we're hoping to offer programs that they can take advantage of. And then, of course, there's our Live Well program. We need offices for our physicians, pain management, chiropractors, dietitians. This obviously means, and educational spaces. Okay, we've got our mommy and me groups, we've got our prayer groups, smoking cessation. We also need to be able to make it open to the public so that they can use it as well. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, how is this gonna work? Okay, it has across the country with other YMCA hospital collaborations. So this is not something that we would have to create and invent the wheel for the first time. There are at least 4 other examples across the United States where this has worked. We would operate the Live Well program. YMCA would operate the swimming pool and fitness center portions. All right? So we would have an operating agreement. As for what the operating agreement would look like, I have no idea. The market feasibility study will show us, however, the number of households that would join, the revenue generated from annual memberships, specific suggestions for programs. I've been doing so much research on YMCAs. There's amazing amounts of programs out there. What appeals to me might not appeal to our community, along with recommendations for facility features, specific facility features. They know what they're doing, these feasibility companies. I believe that having something like this in our community would actually draw the entire county of Lake together. I lived in Lakeport, and I would definitely drive my kids over here to take advantage of a swimming pool. That's a no-brainer. They were in the Channel Cats. The Channel Cats need some place to practice. YMCA, especially YMCA of Sonoma, has a swimming team mentality. They love to do swimming lessons. Right now, that's what they're focused on. I think this has that opportunity to lift all of us up. The county can get involved, donors from all over. I know that our county gets painted often as the poorest, or now we're the second poorest, go us, county in the state of California. But I've been a fundraiser for a long time. I have access to a lot of software, and we have a lot of wealthy people in our community. Believe it or not, they don't wear it, they don't drive it, and they don't live in it, but they're here. And if we can appeal to them, they'll give. So, what I need from you is to know if you're interested in having us look at the Senior Community Center as a potential site as we go forward into our feasibility studies.
So So I did meet with Rebecca, then Rebecca and her partner came in and met with Councilmember Overton and myself. We discussed this. I need some direction from the council as to if you want us to pursue this or not. Kind of, continue this, then going to the next phase, which would be the feasibility studies. But I don't want to go to that phase unless we're kind of really interested in maybe taking it to the next step.
All right. Councilmember Harris?
I think the idea of this is overwhelmingly exciting for me because
Shaking underneath.
I grew up here. Well, here's some irony. I grew up very economically challenged here in Clearlake, and I didn't learn how to swim until I was 16, and I lived next to a lake. And there's not the right people to help. There's no facility to learn how to swim, and I think that would be a huge impact on our youth just having a facility. It also would give us an opportunity to host some other communities here for a basketball tournament or something like that, swimming tournaments, that sort of thing. So I think the potential gain here is really exponential. I don't know where it would end. The only concern that I would have is that particular location has a limitation for parking and that sort of thing. And I understand there are some, the area that's the garden now, that sort of thing, possibly would be incorporated into the concept. But yeah, what I'd really like to see personally is, an architectural drawing. I'd like to see what it's going to look like, how it would unfold. But if all the 1,000 points of light came together, I would be 1,000,000% supportive of this idea.
Mr. Spatier?
Two things. One, I was also concerned about the potential size of the property that you're looking at, and so I'm hoping that you're not against looking at other pieces of properties that the city currently has. I know we have 29 acres on Old Highway 53, which we were looking to make into like a baseball field, and this is a similar situation, and so I'm just, any other potential somewhere here would be wonderful. The first thing I thought of when you started talking about this is a conversation we had at the healthcare collaborative, Health Clearlake Collaborative. Esther Dyson is what came up in my mind. Her favorite #1 thing to do that she asked us when she came, find me a swimming pool because I have to swim at 6 o'clock in the morning. She is the spearhead behind Way to Wellville. They're looking to change our health. This all fits within that whole ideology, and so hopefully we can get her on board to help support this as well. I'm actually absolutely in support.
Councilmember Overton? Oh, you want to go last? Mr. Bennett?
Absolutely, I think it's something that needs to be explored. Middletown has a pool that's only open during the summer. We take our daughter down there often, but it's a limited summertime activity, and it's great. And it is utilized throughout the summer. I have family down in Middletown, and they utilize it all summer. And again, it's from youngsters to seniors that are there. This is very exciting, especially if we can collaborate with the YMCA. We've never had that here, but even when I was in the Army, back in Augusta, Georgia, on the weekends, we went to the Y to swim as young guys. And it was an escape for us from a week of pure torture. I think it's
a beautiful picture.
I think it would be a absolutely wonderful thing for our community that would, to feed off what you said, and also Councilman Harris, to draw the rest of the county into Clearlake, and it would benefit our community greatly.
So when I was first elected, we started it was a Red Cross lifeguard, as a kid, and in Scouts was a scouting lifeguard. Great program, highly recommend it. Got elected, wanted to find something similar because I think pools are exactly what the community needs. Of course, funding is the issue. Went to CV Star and spent some time in Fort Bragg looking at that facility, which is absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, I rained on my own parade when I sat down with somebody and said, how did you do this? And they said, well, pretty much $25 million with private money. And then when it opened, they didn't have the money to staff it. So, I mean, we're really looking for a plan. I think you pretty much noticed you got consensus through us. But this is really something that we want to do right, because we don't want to start something and then not have the staffing or the funding to be able to see it through. I applaud you again, Rebecca, for your enthusiasm and what you bring to our city and our community. So thank you, and thank Adventist Health for that. That said, I don't know, I'm concerned thinking of the STAR facility in Fort Bragg. That would pretty much take up the entire property where our community center is, that seniors use. So yes, I'm interested in the conceptual idea, especially when you were mentioning office space and exercise rooms and all of those. Each of those components adds square footage. So, but I applaud you in your enthusiasm, and at least from my side, go for it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So when you were going around and talking, because we didn't talk about this, and you were going to go check with the YMCA's and stuff, do you know how much acreage they have normally for their bigger facilities like this?
No, I don't.
Yes, I think that's the first thing we need to find out by doing that, because, I mean, there is a lot there at the facility. We kind of walked around it and it did. So I think it just really depends on, and the thing about using that is there's kind of a basis already there, so you save that money on and that expense with that building. And I think that's kind of the thought. What can we do to add on to what we already have? We did look at the parking and how we had a living-size swimming pool, what we do there. So I think maybe that might be one of the things we need to look at kind of first, and then see if it's going to be feasible area. And we'll be able to do that. So if that's not, then that area is not.
Orchard though, right?
Huh?
We're not using that orchard to the north, though.
Okay, you could buy that orchard back there.
Anyway.
It wasn't going to go into a housing project, and they stopped it. So
that is anyway.
There are bigger areas there that may be able to be purchased. So it's a thought, but I'd be curious of how big with the facility that we're talking about, exactly what we would really need. And is that area a feasible area, or would we have to talk to the owners behind there to see if it's something we could purchase? So I think that might be the first thing we need to know is how much acreage are we going to need.
Well, and the feasibility study tell us that.
It would.
So I guess
we would have to add, it's kind of a chicken and egg thing.
Right.
The feasibility study is going to ask about 600 households actually throughout Lake County in phone surveys and online studies. What sort of programs would you be interested in, from a basketball court, or maybe people want a tennis court or a place to play volleyball? I don't know. And obviously it is a swimming pool intriguing to you. I'm pretty sure the answer will be yes, but again, I can't speak for everybody. So I think that might give us a little more idea. I just wanted to...
Who's going to pay for a feasibility study?
Adventist Health.
Mr. Harris.
Just a quick thank you to Rebecca. I'm telling you that these times we're in right now for Lake County in general are exciting. The times we're in right now for Clearlake are even more exciting. And having people like yourself and Adventist Health participating in the way they are is just a super, I mean, I'm just kind of giddy with excitement over even the concept. Just people bringing things like this to light and saying, hey, this can be done, is just where we've needed to be for a very long time. And I'm just really, really happy with that. I appreciate it. I appreciate Adventist Health and their efforts, and I appreciate you personally for your efforts too.
Thank you very much.
So yes, Mr. Harris? Consensus?
Yes. Absolutely.
Vice Mayor? No. You have 5. I feel like Simon Cowell.
No, that's
You got 5 stars.
Thank you very much, David.
You're going to Hollywood. You're going to Hollywood.
Oh, thank you for the Oscar stage. Thank you.
All right, moving on. Consideration of cancellation of the September 14th. Did I jump ahead? Oh, I did. Discussion of potential improvements to the community center. I thought the pool was. Sorry.
Well, the pool, you know, there's a lot of things we've got to get to before we can get to that point. That's not something that's going to come to fruition in any
By
time.
spring?
That's a longer term kind of a vision. Yeah, it's a longer term kind of a vision, not going to happen, you know, in the short term. However, in the short term, we do have things that need to be done out at the community center. I don't remember the year, maybe Councilmember Overton remembers, but we received a grant from Lake County of approximately $40,000 to do improvements to the community garden and other things. All that was done for less than that amount, so we still have approximately $9,500 left in the account to do various improvements. As you heard earlier, I think there's an effort, including Adventist Health, and the Senior Center Park, to potentially put in the sprinklers, to do some painting, to do various other improvements. In your staff report, there's a list of things: sprinkler system, patio cover, memorial rose garden, outdoor storage building, community garden improvements, lining the retention pond with rock. Those are just some of the things that come to my attention. I also toured the facility with Councilmember Overton. We looked at the kitchen. There's various updates that need to be done in there. It's not something that we budgeted for in our current budget. We do have the $9,500 to make some improvements. I'd like to get some direction from you. Do you want us to go forward with spending that $9,500 on outdoor improvements? Do you want to direct which improvements? Do you want to give me some general discretion to do that, working with Councilmember Overton, or however you want to give me direction on that? Do you want us to bring you back for your consideration? I just need some direction on how this. I would like to spend that $9,500, get that kind of off the books and get it done with, and report back to the county on that, because it's been several years. But then, if you want us to look into other improvements at the community center, I just need some direction as to what you want to do.
So I'd like to kind of add on, since we've been working. Some of the things that we have the opportunity here right now to make this building something that could really, you know, be proud of and the community use. And Adventist Health, another part of Adventist Health, I've been working with them like has offered August 19th. That's why we said save the date, because we haven't got all the final. I just met with them again yesterday for the second time to bring in, and hopefully bring in the community to come in and paint that place. It has not been painted since it was there. I'm sure you guys have realized it kind of looks like a prison hall. I'd like to, we had Robert with the chamber come over and help pick, he's a designer, and help pick up some very nice colors to kind of bring in the blue that we have, along with, you know, putting in some other colors to brighten it up. The K-9 unit from the police department has offered to pay for the paint. Now, of course, they have not offered to pay for, or we do not have the things such as paintbrush rollers, etc. Or maybe we can find somebody, if you guys approve this, somebody to come with paint sprayers and do maybe the basics, and we use things to do the other stuff. Along with, we do have sprinkler parts of the sprinkler system. We're not sure how much we have left there. I have one inventory, but we've also been broke into several times since then. So we will need to do another inventory of this. So it's not like we have to, hopefully there's quite a bit still there. So hopefully there's enough there that we wouldn't have to replace a whole lot of that, but we will have to replace some of that. Mr. Kramer, our commissioner, has offered to come over and disc and kind of level and also ditch the outside, so we won't have to be digging, we'll just be laying. So we have a lot of people that are on board for here, and it's great that we have this potential here, but that's at least probably 6 to 10 years down the line. It's not something that's going to happen tomorrow. I think we have an opportunity with our community wants to start really kind of coming in and joining us and making something, because we're a team. We need to bring in the rest of the team and to start to come together. I would hate to lose the opportunity to at least make this place look nice. I think if we can put the roof on the outside awning there, our Supervisor Smith had stated he'd like to see the metal kind of continue down on that. After looking at it, I think it's a good idea, because then we can start having more outdoor activities, because even with that, the way it is, it's just too hot out there. My seniors can't even sit out there during for lunch or anything. So I just think this is a really good opportunity to make that place look nice, and I think it'll bring in more activity. I think we'll have people run it more often. If we also cover that awning out there, I think we'll be able to have outdoor activities. So that was a picture over there. I think most of you guys have probably seen that. As an idea of what we can do out there with that. I mean, that was just brought up by one of my seniors who's an architect. So it's just an idea of what we can do. And I think that maybe this is an opportunity to move forward and make that place, instead of just sitting there, not being utilized, to really be utilized by the community. But I think it's what we all hoped for when we built it. I think we can make that happen.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
One thing that I know is an issue consistently in my mind when we're looking at the community center is the energy bill. And I know that we are looking at using solar panels. However, that offset is still based on an inefficient building. Wondering, because to me that would be long-term annual savings, what would the cost be to lower the ceiling at the senior center to hold down the heat rather than allowing the heat to escape to the top? So that we can save annually on the energy bills and then use those savings to upgrade and keep moving forward towards the dream that we want the community center to look like.
I haven't gotten any bids on doing something like that. We'd have to, I'm sure have an architect take a look at doing that.
Because I'd be interested to see what that cost would be.
Well, if it's something the community would like to see. Anyway, Mr. Harris.
My concern is that pretty much any of these projects, $9,500 is like nothing. It would be gone very quickly. I'm not sure what all we could accomplish. Do we have a sort of a pecking order as to what is the most important things to address? It sounds to me like the sprinkler system and possibly covering the awning are two things that seem to keep popping up here. But I think probably I would be very supportive of moving forward with spending the $9,500, obviously, but I think we just want to get an idea as to what the most important items are. I can't foresee us getting any further than putting a roof on that thing, and that might be it, actually. I mean, $9,500 is very small. Do we have additional funds available?
Well, that's what I'm asking you. Do you want me to start trying to look through our budget and find other things? We don't necessarily have to do all this right now.
Right.
We can kind of identify things for the mid-year budget to move forward next year if we identify funds available at that point.
That would be my opinion. I would say that we would look forward to the idea of mitigating some of the pressing issues right away because we have access to those funds. And then if we could have something brought back to council that has a price tag associated in a perspective as to what changes would be taking place. But
yeah, I can work with Councilmember Overton, like for instance, the stuff in the kitchen. I think there's some priority items. They haven't been budgeted, but I think we probably need to address those things in short order.
Right.
And that's something I would probably want to bring back to you.
Okay. So no, I think that personally, I feel like the idea is fantastic. Whatever we can do for our seniors is huge, and obviously it's multi-use. We use it for a lot of different events and that sort of thing as a community center. I understand your perspective, Vice Mayor Sabatier, about reducing the energy costs. Unfortunately, the architectural design of the place would be, I think, sort of off-putting to reduce the ceiling height. It's really designed, that facility is really designed to have that sort of wide open look. It's been specifically designed for that purpose. I don't know how that would work out. I think the solution is the energy conserving equipment being installed in cohesion with the generating electricity with photovoltaic solar. So ultimately, sometimes there's a compromise there. Obviously, a facility like that the size of it, you know. But no, I'm very supportive. I'd really like to see some more work taking place for sure in the facility. Thank you.
Councilmember Bennett.
I think what needs to be done and the direction we're going is to prioritize what needs to be done now. I know we've had prior discussions. One thing that's really impeding you is storage space. You've run out, you've got stuff stored where it doesn't need to be stored. And I know there's problems in the kitchen area with things in there. To me, those would probably be the two main things, but you do need storage space. That $9,500 could go quite a ways to building an outdoor shed. And maybe if we just added a couple of $3,000 more to that, could alleviate a lot of your storage problems if the money could be located. But I think we need to come back and do a cost analysis, prioritize what is the most important, and then do a cost and find funds to it to add on to that $9,500.
Okay, so here's my thought, and I'm there every day, so this is why I'm saying this. As I said, we have an opportunity right now to get the public really involved. I think number one thing we need to do, because we do have a lot of the supplies, and we will have the people volunteering to put it in, and that is to approve to put the sprinkler system in. That's really not going to cost us a whole lot. Probably not going to take much out of that $9,000. I don't anticipate it's going to take a lot of that money, and it's not going to cost any labor. So I think that's a slight cost to us to get that sprinkler system in, because there was quite a bit of stuff still left when I got that list, and I don't think, actually after I got that list, after I thought about it, that we've been broke into again. So I think that list that we have should be fairly close to having everything, unless they used a little bit for, you know, out here in the park or something, but I think most of it's probably there. So I really think since we have the opportunity to do at least the sprinkler system, and we have a, you know, majority of that the council would approve to us at least do that, and then we can worry about the awning and the storage and stuff at a later date. But I'd like to be able to say yes or no to the sprinkler system, because I need to put people in place, and I'm going to be leaving, unfortunately, at a time of the 1st of August to take my grandson back to Illinois, so I'm not going to be here, so I need to kind of put it together before I leave to know whether we're going to do it or not. So it's either a yes or no, I mean, whatever you guys decide, but I think we have an opportunity here to save some money by not having labor cost involved and just really having to buy some extra supplies on what we don't have. So me, I'd just like to go with the sprinkler system, and let's come back with other priorities.
Okay. Well, as you know, I want to see something going out there because I'm tired of mowing start thistle. But something that was mentioned was the Rose Garden Memorial. Any of that money was earmarked for Tommy Ballot Memorial. Is that?
I don't know that there's a specific amount allotted, but that was one of the things I believe I was told it was.
I thought there was a specific amount.
I don't know. According to what and Jeff and I talked about this, was that there was supposed to be a rose garden. The idea from Jeff said was that there was supposed to be like a seating area with some roses, similar to what was over here at the park done, but in our own way. He even suggested that he didn't care if it was just roses with just something that had his name on it to recognize him. Jeff, yeah, Mr. Smith, yeah. That, you know, but there's not a certain amount designated for that memorial. It's just that there must be a memorial within that before that money is gone. So, but there's not a specific amount that has to be used.
Yeah, I mean, whenever people donate money for a specific item, I want to make sure that that happens. We need to respect their donation and what they will ask for us to do, and be good stewards. Otherwise, who's going to donate in the future? So if I'm hearing everybody right, first we have Councilwoman Overton really wants to get our hands dirty and get some irrigation put in. My fear with that is we worked for 2 or 3 years almost trying to get our visitor center done with volunteer help, and every time, you know, we get a little ways, but not get it complete. So,
Come and be there.
well, that's fine, I said that I would, but I just want to make sure that we can have the volunteer help. And I've worked with Mr. Kramer, he's got an awesome ditcher that we can get the pipe in the ground, but what happens after that? So, that's my only concern on that.
Guarantee you.
So, I guess, Mr. Folsom, what I'm hearing is you have something else to say?
I had a
But
previous question.
I think you have consensus to move forward, but I think we need to go with priority. What do you guys see as the priority for the community center, whether it's the roof? I think the painting inside needs to be done because it hasn't been painted since it was built. And I know that we have some groups that want to use that, but are hoping we might freshen it up a bit before they do. Anything you have to add?
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question. You mentioned twice a break-in into the senior. Has this been recent?
Not the city center, no, the community center, it's the courtyard.
Oh, okay, okay. Because I was going to ask about any security measures we need to add, because we definitely don't want that to happen. Okay, and I appreciate Mayor Purdock bringing up the mandate and the donation, because I had no idea about that, nor is it in the report here, and so I want to make sure that it's something that we're still able to do, and we make sure that we watch the cost of whatever it is that we do, so that we can make sure and respect that wish.
I absolutely agree. That was one of my main things when I first got there, was I talked to Jeff how this money all came up that it was still there. Was I asked where could we put the memorial, and was there anything strict to do that? We came up with the idea that they're on what they consider the front side of the building entrance. The area on the left would be like a really nice area to do a nice rose garden with a seating area in there, and it kind of comes off.
Which is in the area where the bus stop is?
Well, no, but we could do it there too. This is on the side part where most everybody enters, and there's a little area on this side that could make a really nice garden. It also makes it to where you can walk out that door, because when you have events, that's the door everybody goes in and out, and then you can walk over to this side and have a seating area that's really kind of nice. Or you could do it in the front too.
Well, I wasn't sure. Someone had mentioned that it would be in that area in the front.
The talk has always been just some roses around a seat, a bench with his name on it. That was mainly what they, has always talked about, that I've never heard anything different than that. So, and I totally agree. We would never not want to finish that project.
So maybe the priority would be to get a cost to install that, and then we can look at what numbers we have after that, as far as prioritizing what we can afford.
Okay.
Agreed. Does everybody have consensus? Very good. Any other action you need from us?
Well, are we going to go through with the sprinkler system or not? I mean, that's just kind of something I think that
If
is
we
not
already
going
have
to
the
cost.
pipe.
Yeah, it's not going to cost that much. We have the volunteers to do
We
it.
don't necessarily have all the pipe. All the pipe was bought originally,
Okay.
but then we've lost a little bit.
Do we have the design? Is the design for the irrigation system still old?
I don't think there ever was a design, but I can get a design together. I can lay it out, yeah.
So I'm thinking
And I
if
think
we have
my-
a design and you coordinate volunteering,
So, there's going to be some supplies that will have to be bought. For one, there's going to be some different sprinkler heads, because we talked about what they have. But, I'm going to say probably, I'm thinking maybe $1,000 is
well,
probably going to be.
you guys work
something
it
like
out, but
that,
if that's your priority and you concur, that's what you'd bring back to us and have a cost. For the irrigation.
You're saying bring back to you.
No, is that not what you guys said? I thought Mr. Harris wanted that.
No, I was talking about anything that was exceeding the $9,500.
Okay.
But I think that we just give direction to staff to go ahead and move forward with priorities. Obviously, we've identified 2 priorities: the memorial and the sprinkler system. That's what we've identified as priorities today. So you have I would give you the authority to move forward with the spending of the $9,500 in its entirety to accomplish those tasks. If you come back to us and say there's a great number of things we need to identify as repairable items or things that need to be constructed, and it's going over the $9,500, then we come back and we talk about that. But I feel like you should just move forward with the senior center staff and accomplish what needs to be accomplished.
Sabatier?
I was going to suggest that since Councilmember Overton states that it might cost around $1,000, that if it goes over $2,000, that it be brought back to us to figure out how to make sure.
Or just the irrigation?
Mainly, I'm looking to make sure that we fulfill the wish of having a rose garden there, and I don't want more money to be spent than saying $9,500, go for it. And so if it's going to be over $2,000, then let's go ahead and re-review what our priorities are based on that.
If we go with a small rose garden, roses aren't that much. I mean, you know, I could almost purchase those myself come time for planting them, which will be several months from now. It's basically a bench with his name on it. Those are normally a couple $100. You know, so I don't anticipate that $500 would need to be kept back in my mind to make sure that the rose garden and the seating gets, unless you guys want to do something elaborate and make it fancier.
It sounds like we've got consensus with Mr. Harris's proposal. Give staff the authority to move forward. Do you have consensus? Good. You have 5.
Okay.
Very good. All right. Next. When I was jumping the gun, consideration of cancellation of September 14th regular meeting. Why?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me introduce our city clerk, Melissa, to explain this one. I want to keep her on her toes.
I think there's a big meeting in Sacramento that particular day.
Might have something to do with it.
So in September, we have a meeting on the 14th, and the city manager, the mayor, and Councilmember Overton are scheduled to attend. According to the government code, the council must meet at least once a month. In September, we would have a regular meeting on September 28th. If you choose to cancel the September 14th meeting, which is what we recommend, we can still call a special meeting in between then if you choose to do so.
That would be the same week as League of Cities conference. Any questions? Have a motion?
Motion to go.
Oh, open up to the public? Any concerns? All righty then, quiet down. Bring it back to council for action.
I'd like to make a motion to cancel the September 14th, meeting.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously. All right, city manager's report.
Okay, just a few things. I think everybody wants to know about the status of the 18th and Phillips construction project. It's going very well. They've done all their grinding out. For the most part, they've done the grinding outs. They should be finished in the next day or two. They will begin paving next week, so be on the lookout for that. I believe our Public Works Director took out a couple of council members, and they can give their own perspective on that. But our Public Works Director took me out there, and it's looking great just as it is. I think it was an improvement just to get all the top level asphalt out of there. It's much nicer than it used to be. So we're going to have a beautiful street out there. Just a reminder to everybody that we do have the photo contest that will be coming to completion shortly, so please get your photographs in. We had a marijuana ad hoc committee meeting today. I think we made some good progress. I gave an update to the Lake County Chamber this week, had a meeting with the Clearlake Chamber, gave an update on what's going on with the city. We had a meeting of the Lake County Economic Development Corporation that I attended. I'm a member of that. I think this is very good news. They approved joining Team California. Team California is an entity that is responsible for advertising cities and California to retailers and industry. By the EDC joining Team California, that saved the city $2,500 because it's a $2,500 membership fee. We can now go to events such as ICSC, which is the International Council of Shopping Center, their annual meeting, which brings in about 30,000 people. That's where all the major retailers and developers attend every year. I know that I've gotten some feedback from council members that they'd like to see us participating in those types of events. Now we can participate. Team California, they get a large booth there that would be prohibitively expensive for the city of Clearlake to have. We can now join their booth, meet with different retailers at that event. So to me, this was a really big deal. And another really big deal to me was my daughter visited last week from Arizona, so I took a couple days off to spend showing her around and had a really good time. Just a reminder of some events that are coming up. On August 1st, we have National Night Out coming up. That's going to be from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Highlands Park. This is the first time we're going to be doing this. This really is kind of I'll call it a celebration of the police department and public safety. We're going to have various entities out there, the fire department, the police department. It's a great opportunity for citizens to come out, meet the various public safety entities, ask questions, have some hot dogs, have some drink, non-alcoholic beverages, have a good time, and we're hoping that this becomes an annual event and really plays out to be a great event. Also, August 10th, just a reminder, that's when the end of the photo contest is. August 30th, that's the State of the City. As a reminder, that's something we did last year, had about 150 people or so show up. Hopefully we'll have the same or more this year, so come early, get a good seat. That will be from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the community center. We will be having catering by the Chatterbox. Is it Chatterbox Cafe or Chatterbox Catering?
Chatterbox Catering.
Okay. Chatterbox Catering will be catering.
Cafe is what I like to call the center.
And then I'll speak for Councilmember Overton that September 9th, just a reminder, is the Senior Center annual fundraiser, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Folsom. Councilmember Overton.
Well, I did on my report, everybody else did too. I just have one thing and that is August 19th, as you guys have moved through, that I will be working with Adventist Health to schedule the event. It's basically their thing is more inside and the sprinklers now that you guys have learned. And like I said, I think that's going to just brighten it up. So look forward to me giving you guys some updates on scheduling, and of course we want the community. I talked to them about they would like the whole community to come in. This is just their way of coming in with their employees to say we're joining with you, we want to help you out. So I think this is really good. I think will be a good thing. So if we can get enough people there, we could really whip out a lot in a very short time. Good. So hopefully everybody comes, and that's the end of my report.
Councilmember Harris.
I have actually been out of the country and out of the county for almost the entirety of the time between last meeting and now, so I do not have anything further to report.
Thank you for your brevity.
Welcome back. Get dirty dog. He was in Mexico and I wasn't. Not much happening. My family and I went down, not city business, but to Duncan's Mill and watched Civil War days. If you ever get a chance to go there next year to watch a reenactment of the North and the South, it is well worth it. The cost is very reasonable and beautiful. It's on the Russian River and highly recommend it. We were down there, I think, a week ago last Saturday. PEG TV, if you notice on the walls, we have our new cameras up. They are not in operation yet. Dave Dinkin, who works as a building inspector, also with our local fire department, assisted by Ed Roby, install those. Hopefully they will be up and running shortly, and we're working to get those, I don't know what the time element is in getting those into Lakeport City Hall, but their representative is working on that. We're still looking for, we have an opening on our PEG board. If anybody is interested to contact our station manager, Beth, and put in an application. We have one opening. And that's about it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Vice Mayor.
So thanks to Mr. Folsom's daughter, we canceled our ad hoc marketing committee meeting. So I got to enjoy that afternoon. I wanted to thank the gentleman that spoke. His name was Mike Ham. It's not often that people come to the podium and suggest a solution to a problem, and I just want to make sure and commend that, because I think that's a really valid way to approach the podium, to offer a way to solve the problems that they're dealing with. Some of the problems we may not know about, and some of the problems we may not know how to solve, but having opportunities to hear of ideas of solutions is always wonderful. So thank you to him for coming up today and speaking. Had a LAFCO meeting last week. We reviewed a service review for the Valley Oak subdivision happening in Hidden Valley. I hear by 2019 that will be complete. We'll see if that's the case. And also we appointed, or not appointed, but we're sending Councilmember Overton to Cal LAFCO this year as a representative of our county. Had marijuana cultivation conversation today with the ad hoc committee. I'm looking forward to future conversations as we move forward. I wanted to thank publicly Officer Franklin. I went to a red tagged house that somebody called me about, and saw people walking around in a red tagged house, which they're not supposed to. Officer Franklin came out, did what he was supposed to do. He kicked out those that weren't supposed to be there, and said that they would be under arrest if they came back. They came back, and they were arrested. And so I just wanted to make sure and say thank you, because we have too many of those in our neighborhoods, and I know how people feel, and what I saw was not pleasurable to the eyes. It's unfortunate. Also wanted to thank code enforcement for communicating with me. I've been kind of on their backs this whole last week, asking a lot of questions. I think even actually Mr. Heron yelled at me for asking too many questions, but in a friendly way. I've been asking a lot, so thank you very much for being patient with me. Thank you to the staff for that. And he did take me out to 18th and Phillips. I saw them putting base in the new bike lane, so we've expanded the lane. It's not just a new overlay. It's going to look fabulous. I can't wait. It looks good already, and it's a mess, but it looks great. It's awesome. So I'm looking forward to seeing that be completed, and all the other projects that we have on the table going on. It's exciting to seeing projects being done. And that's it for me for tonight.
Thanks, sir.
Oh, one last one. Sorry, I lied.
You always get to go twice.
And also on August 5th, on Saturday, from 10 to 2 p.m. in Austin Park, there will be the 7th annual Power to the Youth. Bring the families. There's going to be a lot of inflatable, fun stuff to play with. So water slides, slip and slides, inflatable rock wall, mechanical bull. We'll have flag football, basketball tournament, skate park competition, live music, and a whole bunch of other booths and fun activities for the entire family. So please bring them down. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, so last Friday, we had another meeting with the key stakeholders for Project Restoration. Project Restoration is something that Shelley Mascari is working very hard and through Adventist Health Clearlake to help find housing, medical services, mental health services, substance abuse cessation, that type of thing, for some of our most vulnerable. And I want to applaud the work done, because we already have our first client. They went through this selection process. I want to thank Lieutenant Selly, who was a very key component of that, and has been recognized many times over and over for his work through Project Restoration. And one of the things that I think is most outstanding is when you look at what it costs, just the services without any focused help. Impacts to the police department, impacts the fire department, impacts the hospital through the emergency department, for individuals who are habitual users of those services. Yet when we can find these folks, we can get them in housing, we can get them help, we can get them treatment, we save a lot of money. Yeah, and you may not, people don't recognize that right off the bat, but it's good business sense to do this and to move forward with this. And what that's done is it's opened up new doors and new pathways and new relationships between stakeholders in our county and in our city that is just starting to snowball with new things that we're coming up with. At a meeting today at Sutter Hospital, looking at another program that I'm hoping will be some a nice project for some transitional housing. Looked at multiple sites, so they're not locked into one, but there's some grant funding available through the COC and NCO. So pretty exciting stuff. Also went out with our Public Works Director and looked at the project at 18th and 40th. The project itself will go up through 18th Boyles and from 18th over to 40th. Unfortunately, we didn't have the funding to continue it on Phillips through to Davis. But we're looking at a complete reclamation of the street surface, as was pointed out. So the roadway will now be expanded to 12-foot wide travel lanes with 4-foot pedestrian and bike paths on the sides and shoulders of that, which is a significant improvement. And then each apron for each of the avenue streets off of that will be paved out to 20 feet. The other thing that they've done is started the grading projects. We've had several roads that have been graded. One of the things that we are going to do now, and I hope people are paying attention that are watching out there in TV land, I think we need to stop projecting what streets are going to be graded first because it sets a false expectation when staff gets pulled away. One of the things that I was asked to mention, and I really want to make it a point, each and every time we have a large marijuana grow found, for example, or we have restoration repairs to our park facilities, we have to take those very people that are supposed to be upgrading our streets off of the equipment that grades our streets to fix the bathrooms when they're vandalized at our parks, to help code enforcement and law enforcement when they're doing those eradications, which stops our grading process. So we need to be mindful, we need to be good stewards of our property. If you guys see somebody doing something that's wrong, please call Lieutenant Sully's staff at the Clearlake Police Department and let them get out there and hopefully stop that before we have broken toilets, broken sinks, vandalized bathrooms. And if we can work together to try to clean up our properties, help with our neighbors' properties, if we have some illegal or code enforcement issues that need to be happening, anything that we can do to help mitigate means we can get our streets graded a little sooner. So I don't mean to drone on about this, but I went out and talked with the staff, our Public Works our staff, they're smiling ear to ear because they're finally getting to do the work that they've wanted to do. I applaud staff for being able to hire those, and I think we still have some positions available. Are we still open for new applicants, or are the application periods closed? They're closed? Okay, because I thought some people had washed, and I thought that might have opened up for more applicants. Okay, so it just closed. But pay attention, if you're looking for a job and you think that this might be a good thing to do, working in our parks, working on our streets, please look and keep tabs on our job openings. I know that the police department has some job openings for police officer, and so we're hoping to fill those because we've got some people that are testing and moving on, and we need to understand that people like to move forward and move up, even though it is kind of a hit to us. And I also want to thank Lieutenant Selly. I was able to speak with him at Link today, and I want to apologize because I kind of jumped the gun a little bit, and I was going directly to him. Anybody who has a complaint with an issue, please follow the chain of command. And that is, if you have an officer who comes out and you think maybe he could have done a better job than he did, call the police department and ask to talk to a supervisor, rather than emailing or contacting me directly or contacting the city manager. Let those supervisors do their work. And I apologize for I went straight to him with an issue, and he reminded me of that, and I appreciate that. So thank you. So I share that with everybody else out there too. And us, because sometimes I think when we have somebody come in with a complaint, it's the knee-jerk thing to say, oh, I'm going to give it off to Tim, or I'm going to give it to Greg to take care of. So we really need to follow those chains of commands and not try to micromanage. And with that, I want to thank everybody. I think we had a good meeting. We got some stuff done. Wait, you got to go a third time? Future agenda item. Yes, Mr. Sabatier.
So based on my experience at a few red tagged homes, I've had people run away, jump fences into neighbor's yard. I've had a lot of people that look obviously that they're transient and they don't belong at this house. And after speaking with the officers and with code enforcement, the rule, I guess, is between 8 to 5. If you claim that you're there to work on the property, we can't really do anything, but after 5, we can. I would like us to talk about a potential permit process to allow people on that property, so that if they're not allowed on that property, there's no allowing transients or anyone else on that property to say, I'm allowed to be here. I don't know what the actual process would look like. I would like it to be a minimal process, so it's not that much more added to the staff, but I think it would give us extra leverage to help keep those red tag properties clean when we see somebody on those properties that are not allowed to be there, rather than being given an excuse that our police officers can't say is true or false.
So in the code enforcement abatement process, if someone said, I'm in the process, I want to clean it up, they would just fill out an application and say who they are and their street address, and that would be held at City Hall. So I'm in favor of that. Mr. Harris?
And we could figure out the fine tuning of the process, but.
Just a future agenda.
Yes.
We're not taking
Oh,
action on it,
okay.
But you want.
Oh, you're
to-
right. So I thought we were just giving direction to staff, but you're right. I apologize.
There's one more step.
We just want to get stuff done and get done quickly. Thank
Take your time.
you. You good for that?
I'm good for that. One more thing, and then we'll get out of here.
Okay.
I've seen on social media that are the grading under Measure B, that priority is given to the city leaders' streets, just that they're being done first. Well, I'm a little upset because my damn street hasn't been done yet. And I don't know about the rest of it.
Mine hasn't.
My private road is not.
Yeah.
Mine is not either, and I'd like to voice
Yeah, so I feel a little upset that I'm being left out of this, so.
You mean social media may be wrong?
Well, if it's on the internet, it has to be true. So for anybody that has any questions about it, my road on 38th Avenue, if anybody wants to check it out, so it looks like it was hit with an artillery barrage last night.
Maybe it's the
So it
other
has
city
not
leaders.
been graded yet. I'm done.
Thank you. Something else, Mr.
I'll let it go. I'll come back and talk through it.
Did it.
We're good to go? We're adjourned.